It's the Mixed Martial Arts Hour with
The Mixed Martial Arts Hour back in your life on this Monday, February 20th, 2017. Hello again, everyone. I'm Ariel Helwani back inside our New York City studio. Hope you had a great weekend. Hope you had a great week. I sure did. Thank you very much for asking. I was actually in Montreal for the last few days for my lovely sister's engagement party to her. She's getting engaged, of course, to her new fiance, Mike. I say, of course, like you know this. But I was in Montreal and it was great and I had a great time there and it was nice to be home. It was nice to be with family and friends. It was bitterly cold. I truthfully don't know how people live up there. And I did it for like 19 years. And it's horrible, but it was great to be home. More importantly for all of you, a hell of a lot happened since we last spoke. A bevy of news since we said goodbye last Monday. Unbelievable. So many huge things happened, so not a lot of time to waste right off the top. I want to run down today's lineup, and then we'll talk about some big things that happened over the past 5 days or so, because it really has been an unbelievable week in the world of mixed martial arts. 2017 started a little slow, I thought. And last week kind of made up for it. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, of course, Saturday, yesterday, UFC in Halifax. Just a ton of things happened. Before I get to all of that, let me remind you that the MMA Hour is brought to you by our good friends over at Ubisoft. Their new game, For Honor, is available in stores now. It came out February 14th. Hope you had a lovely Valentine's Day as well. The day for lovers. And maybe you got the For Honor game and maybe you played it with your lover. What a great night that is. It's made by Ubisoft, as I said, for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. It's available now. Real fighting strategy instead of just run and gun or hack and slash. For Honor, get it right now. Any console out there, great people. We appreciate them supporting the MMA Hour. Okay, today's lineup. It is as follows. 3:45, we're going to be joined by Firas Zahabi. His brother, Ayman Zahabi, was successful in his UFC debut last night. Firas is back home in Montreal. I want to talk to him about cornering his brother, being there for him, and what it was like to watch his brother inside the octagon. Also, we will talk to him about a guy named George St. Pierre, who we found out last week is officially back. Hold on to that thought. We'll get to it in a second. But happy to have Firas on the show. Matt Mitrione will stop by. Last week when we said goodbye, we were getting ready for Matt Mitrione versus Fyodor Emelianenko. We thought that was going down Saturday in San Jose. As you may know by now, it did not happen. Matt Mitrione had a kidney stone and he was unable to fight. Now, I saw some people on his Twitter, which is just an amazing thing to see, fans going on an athlete's Twitter, and especially a fighter like Matt Mitrione, who's never turned down a fight, who's never backed down from a challenge, who played in the NFL, and calling him scared of Fyodor Emelianenko. Now, I cannot compare myself to fighters. I do not know what they go through in the cage. I will never experience anything like the emotions, the feelings, the pain that they suffer inside that cage for our entertainment. I can relate with Matt on this one because 15 years ago, I had a kidney stone. I was traveling in the south of France, and let me tell you, it was the worst 2 weeks of my life. I was crumpled in a ball. I was crying. I could not eat anything for 2 weeks. I was in the hospital. It was hell. It was, as I was told by many other people, the closest thing that males will ever experience to childbirth. It's the closest thing to childbirth that we can experience. Females, they're on a whole other level. I cannot imagine what they go through, and I've now been lucky enough to witness it 3 times. That's on a whole other level. But as far as we're concerned, I'm told this is the closest. Okay, it is excruciating pain. It is horrible. It is the worst pain that I've ever felt on my 34 years on earth, and I hope I never feel anything like that again. It scared the living hell out of me. Trust me when I tell you, it is amazing that Matt Mitrione was able to do media, weigh-ins, face-off, all that stuff while experiencing this. He is no coward for backing out of this one. He couldn't do it. It's horrible pain. Hopefully we'll get to see it. We'll talk to Matt Mitrione in his first interview at 3:25. 3:05, we're going to be joined by Freddie Roach, the legendary boxing trainer. He was actually responsible, along with Nick Khan of CAA, getting GSP back to the UFC. How did he do it? How did this go down? How did Freddie Roach, of all people, get involved in all of this? We'll talk to Freddie at 3:05. Can't wait to talk to Freddie Roach later on in the show. Max Holloway will stop by. Found out last week he's fighting Jose Aldo in Rio, June 3rd, unifying the featherweight titles. Always a pleasure to talk to Max Holloway. Iaquinta will stop by at 2:25. Found out last week he is back. He is out of retirement, and he's fighting Diego Sanchez April 22nd in Nashville. Cris Cyborg, big news for her. Came out Friday. She has been cleared by USADA. She is a free woman. She was granted a retroactive therapeutic use exemption. And Cris Cyborg, who many people were piling dirt on her grave, who were ready to counter out for good, who were saying to everyone, I told you so, she's a cheater, all this stuff, including some very important people, has been cleared. No punishment, no time off. She is free to fight again. What a story. Who will she fight next? Maybe it's Germaine Randamie, and she will join us, Germaine that is, at 1:45, talk about becoming the UFC featherweight champion, what's next for her hand, all that good stuff and more. And 1:25 will be joined by Junior Dos Santos. Talk about his UFC 211 heavyweight title fight against Stipe Miocic. So much to discuss. Let's start as far as the news is concerned. Last Tuesday night, I was able to confirm that GSP was on the verge of coming back, that after all this time, remember, in June he was on this show and he said that he was ready to return. Huge news. And then it was kind of stalling and things weren't happening, and it just felt like, okay, what's going on? George St. Pierre, he's ready to return. He's been gone. By then, it was like around, 2.5 years? UFC 167, Johnny Hendricks fight. Remember that? Says he's taking a break. We go to the press conference. Dana White's upset, saying that he lost the fight, saying that he owes it to the UFC, to the fans, to Johnny Hendricks to defend the title. You can't just say you're taking a break. A couple weeks later, they have a conference call, and GSP says, I'm vacating the title and I'm taking a break. Now, he never, ever used the word retirement, never used the R word, but as the months went by, we weren't quite sure if he was coming back. June, he comes on this show, he says, I'm back, essentially. October, he comes on this show after a frustrating series of negotiations and says, I'm a free agent. My lawyer has essentially terminated my contract. They are in breach of contract, the UFC. I'm moving on. UFC responds, you're not a free agent. 2 days after that, GSP flies to Las Vegas, sits down with Dana White, who for months, for years had been telling us that GSP had no interest in fighting again, who was just talking about all of this to string along his sponsors. He's not a fighter. He doesn't have it in him, blah, 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 blah. They sit down and they clear the air. After that, Dana stopped saying that. They clear the air, they sit down. Okay, will he fight in Toronto, UFC 206? We don't know yet. Then, from Las Vegas, that Wednesday night, he flies to New York and meets with Ari Emanuel, new co-owner of the UFC, co-owner of WME IMG. Good conversation, but they can't get the deal done for UFC 206, right? A week before UFC 206, he's a part of this MMAAA announcement, and we all kind of think maybe this is the end. Maybe this is the end of George St. Pierre. He's a part of this upstart association with the likes of TJ Dillashaw and Tim Kennedy and Cain Velasquez, etc. You know the story. Then a funny thing happened around the time that Ronda Rousey fought and lost. I do believe that the UFC came to the realization that they needed George St. Pierre now more than ever. Think about 2017. Ronda Rousey is gone. Conor McGregor has taken a hiatus. He's trying to fight Floyd Mayweather. John Jones is out until July. Brock Lesnar has officially retired. Our own Mark Ramundi reported that first last week. Where are the stars? Where are the draws? Where are the the million pay-per-view buy shows? Where are they? Where are the big money fights? How are they going to replicate 2016? How are they going to come close to 2016 with 5 shows that did over 1 million pay-per-view buys? They needed George. They needed a star, and they reopened the talks. But here's the part that people didn't know. It was Freddie Roach, of all people, after the failed talks with George's team over the last few months. It was Freddie Roach who Dana White has a huge amount of respect for, great amount of affinity and admiration for Freddie Roach, the great Freddie Roach, as we all know from the Wild Card gym in Los Angeles, Manny Pacquiao fame, et cetera, he kind of helped get this ball rolling. Nick Khan, also an agent who typically does broadcasting deals, was also involved. And in rather quick fashion, they were able to get this done. They agreed to terms several days ago. Everything has been accounted for. The issue was he signed a contract in 2011, and that contract and the state of the UFC today in 2017 has changed drastically. Reebok deal wasn't around then. It is around now. USADA deal wasn't around then. Is around now. He's not a champion. Doesn't get pay-per-view points. Everyone's happy. George St. Pierre is back. They are shooting for a return, at least as of right now, third or fourth quarter. So it's a little too soon to really kind of pinpoint when he's going to fight, where he's going to fight, and against who. But Dana White then on Friday, after I reported it on Wednesday, confirmed to Lance Pugmire of the LA Times that it was signed. The contract was signed. When I reported it, it said close to finalizing the deal, which is essentially close to signing it, and they had agreed on terms. Signed it a couple days later. I confirmed that as well. And then GSP posted a video on his Twitter via his sponsor, Hayabusa, saying, I'm back. I actually wanted to get GSP. GSP is in New York today. Wanted to get him in studio, but I've been told that they're taking a little sort of break on the media stuff, and they're going to speak in the coming days. So hopefully we'll have him on soon. We do have Freddie Roach and Firas Zahabi. This is massive news for the UFC. Think about this. Conor, Ronda, John Jones, Brock Lesnar, all that stuff. On Friday afternoon, essentially the UFC got back George St. Pierre and Cris Cyborg. That is massive. Look, I'll be the first to say when the UFC messes up. I'll be the first to say when things aren't going well. This was a very good week for the UFC. Friday was a very good day for the UFC. They got George back. They got Cris Cyborg back. That is massive. That is huge. George St. Pierre is back. And now, hopefully, all the people in the comments who were telling me for months, stop talking about George St. Pierre. Why do you keep talking about George St. Pierre? Why do you keep asking people about George St. Pierre? Get over it. We know you're Canadian. We know you're from Montreal. Stop it. This is why I kept talking about him. Because when he told me that he was coming back, I believed him. When Dana White kept telling you that he wasn't coming back, I did not believe him. George St. Pierre wanted to come back. He finally got everything in order, finally kind of cleared his mind, took the break that he needed, and he wanted to come back. And it would have been one of the greatest travesties in the history of the sport if contract issues would have stopped him from coming back. Here's a guy who says, I'm ready to come back. Oh, wait a second. We can't figure it out. We're off by a couple million. Could you imagine? I mean, we're talking about top 3 greatest ever, right? Where do you put him? GSP, John Jones, Anderson Silva, Fedor Emelianenko. I mean, no lower than 4. And if you want to exclude Anderson for the PED stuff, if you want to exclude John Jones for the PED stuff, where does he fall? 1? Never been caught. Lost just once in the UFC. Avenged that loss. Went on in this amazing winning streak. What was it, like 11 or 12 in a row before leaving? They got him back. And he's only 35. And now the question is, who does he fight? Does he fight Michael Bisping? Is Bisping still the champion when he returns? Does he fight the winner of Woodley, Stephen Thompson? I think we have to remember that, yes, he's only 35. That's not that old. He's not 38, 39, 40, 41. But we have to remember 3.5 years in this sport is a very long time. And I agree with all those who say, maybe ease him back in there. Maybe now's the time to do the Anderson Silva fight. Maybe, after all these years, remember George St. Pierre, I think he fought, was it Nick Diaz or Carlos Condit, one of those in Montreal, and Anderson was there and they wanted to do the fight. Maybe it was Carlos, and then they did the Nick Diaz fight after. This is the time to do the fight, in my opinion. If they put him in a welterweight title fight, great. He never lost the belt. I love it. It makes all the sense in the world. But do you really want to go in there after 3.5 years off and fight a guy like Tyron Woodley or Stephen Thompson, who have been active, who are younger, who are in their prime? That's a lot to ask. I know this. He did the training camp. He is ready. He's not doing this for money. That's important to note. As he said, he's healthy and wealthy. He's not done with the association. Just because you're fighting the UFC doesn't mean you're done with the association. I don't know why people think that. Dillashaw, Kane, Kennedy just retired. Cerrone, we presume, is still kind of involved. But he's not done with it. That still means a lot to him. The guy just wants to fight again. He is a fighter. 35 years old. Why not? If he thinks that he's ready, this guy has so much to lose. He went out on top. He went out the perfect way possible. If he says he's good to go, I'm down with it. But I do think it would be, I don't know, kind of smart to just kind of ease into the whole thing. Don't you think? Kind of smart to just, take a fight, legend fight, big fight, sell it out. You could do Anderson Silva versus GSP at the Bell Center. You could do it at the Big O in Montreal and sell 50,000 tickets. I have no doubt about that. This is huge news. And it was interesting to be in Montreal when this news broke. And bad timing for George. The Canadians fired their coach, Michel Therrien, and rehired Claude Julien, who had been fired by the Bruins around a week ago. It completely overshadowed the GSP news, which is unfortunate because I've often thought that the Montreal media and the Quebec media did not give George the respect that he deserved when he was on top of the game, when he was active. And this time, I think it flew a little bit under the radar. But nevertheless, this is massive for the Canadian MMA scene. It's massive for the Quebec MMA scene. And it's massive for the UFC. It's massive for the sport. It is gigantic news. It is huge. And now we'll see who he'll fight. Hopefully he talks soon. Hopefully we'll find out. So we found out about that officially on Friday, and then we find out about Cris Cyborg. And I hope, as I mentioned on Twitter, I hope that everyone who, look, you could talk about her history, you could talk about, suspicions, you could talk about, the eye test, all that stuff. She's been cleared by USADA. Them's the facts. And everyone who disparaged her, who tried to ruin her reputation, who tried to, call her a cheater, say that she should be banned. You really do. I would put Cris Cyborg on that June card, June 3rd in Rio, and have her fight Germaine de Randamie if she's healthy. We'll find out later on about that. And we'll talk to Cyborg later on in the show. Now let's go to Saturday. Saturday at around 4 o'clock, I get a call saying Matt Mitrione is out of the Fedor fight. Matt Mitrione is out of the Fedor fight. Shades of Elite XC all over again. Took a couple hours, but then I was able to confirm it, and shortly thereafter, Bellator officially announced it. Mitrione, kidney stones, out of the Fedor fight. Fedor not fighting. They're hoping to rebook them for June. We'll find out more from Matt Mitrione later on in the show. This is devastating. To me, this was one of the worst nights in Bellator history. And look, let's not say, Bellator sucks, Bellator is cursed, all this stuff. Let's not forget that the UFC had their rough periods as well when they were coming up. Let's not forget about UFC 24 when Kevin Randleman hits his head, goes to the hospital, and, his title fight is off. Let's not forget about UFC 33, which had 3 horrible title fights, and the Matt Yushchenko, Tito Ortiz fight goes past the pay-per-view window, and they have to refund everyone. Remember that? Early in the Zuffa era? I mean, there have been bad things that have happened. This was one of the worst nights for Bellator. It just was. It was bad luck. It was really bad luck. Not only do you lose the main event just minutes before the show's about to start, there are people who are going to that arena thinking that Fedor is fighting Matt Mitrione, that they're going to see Fedor for the first time, in the U.S. since 2011, first time in San Jose since 2010, fight Matt Mitrione in what I called their best main event ever. It was fun. It made sense. I loved it. Upside on both ends, regardless of who wins. And then it gets canceled. And then not only that, Josh Koscheck loses, and it was kind of hard to watch. He's holding his eye. You think back to that GSP fight, broken orbital. Seems like he never recovered all these years later. Not really sure what he has left. Josh Thompson loses. It felt like everything that could go wrong for Bellator went wrong. Nothing worse than a main event falling through. I mean, even when Kimbo fought Petrozelli, he still stayed on the card. It was a disaster. It ended up killing the promotion Elite XC. This won't kill Bellator, but gosh, they have to go on a roll now to regain the trust of the audience after the Ortiz-Sonnen fight not quite living up to the hype. Some other fights here or there. I mean, it just feels to me, I was watching the show on Saturday with a friend of mine who came over, longtime friend of mine from high school, who came over to watch the fights and said, this looks like WWE. And I've talked about this. This is why people veer towards, this fight was fixed when talking about Bellator, because it looks like pro wrestling. I have nothing against it. I actually like the fact that they try to be different, but there's still a lot of work to be done. There is still a lot of work to be done, and you feel for everyone involved. I feel so bad for Matt Mitrione. I mean, I know what that feels like. It's the one time I can relate to a fighter. There's nothing worse than a kidney stone. Trust me, it is excruciating. I have no idea how he was able to even kind of, put on a happy face in the hours leading up to the fight. Really, it's horrendous pain. It truly is. You can't fight a guy like Fedor dealing with that. You feel for Fedor, comes all the way from Russia, no fight. You feel for the fans who bought the tickets. Some flew in, nothing. You feel for Bellator. I mean, there were promos. I was watching the All-Star Saturday Night stuff. Porzingis winning, and there are promos in between the action, in between the telecast, still hyping up the fight, and it's in like 30 minutes, the broadcast. Just a unfortunate turn of events for all involved. Really, I mean, the worst case scenario. That's the one fight that you can't lose. So hopefully they rebound from this. Look, they're not going down the tubes. They're not getting flushed down the toilet like Elite XC, but it's tough to rebound. It takes time now. It takes months to rebound from something like this. It's just bad luck. But let's not pretend like this doesn't happen. Happened to Affliction. Happened to the UFC. It's happened to everyone. It happens. It's bad luck. Horrible luck. And then on Sunday, we had the UFC in Halifax. And the big news, Derek Lewis. What can we say about Derek Lewis? Yes, I tried to get him on the show. He's traveling today. It was a Sunday night show. We'll get him on soon. Kick to the body, appeared to be in a tremendous amount of pain, comes back in the second round and knocks out Travis Brown. A horribly late stoppage. Once again, Mario Yamasaki late to stop the fight. There's just such a shortage of great referees, and we go to the familiar faces, yes. Second week in a row where we have issues in a UFC main event as far as refereeing is concerned. This is dangerous stuff. And then Derek Lewis gets on the mic and talks about Ronda Rousey, domestic violence accusations towards Travis Brown, having to go to the bathroom, walking around backstage with a mini kind of toy UFC belt, calling himself the interim heavyweight champion. His delivery is so nonchalant, it's so deadpan that it's kind of hard to take anything that he says seriously, and I don't think he wants us to, but this guy is a character. He wants to take a break now. Give him a break. They got something with Derek Lewis, and I know the UFC kind of cringes. They don't love his tweets. They get a little hot under the collar, especially in this WME age, when he's a little too non-PC, but they have something special with Derek Lewis. There's no doubt about that. They need to market him correctly, get him out there, position him in the right light. What a story. And what do you say about Travis Brown? No Edmund Tarverdi in his corner, but what a fall from grace. Remember when he went into that Verdum fight in 2014, I think it was? He was on the cusp of fighting for the belt. He was the new generation of big man, right? The former basketball player, light on his feet, super tall, used his range, his length to his advantage, the kicks and the punches. I mean, it looked like he was poised to be a UFC champion. He was with Jackson Wink. Everything was going great. Loses to Verdum, leaves Jackson Wink, goes to GFC, Glendale Fighting Club, and everything turns around for him. I thought maybe he was, turning back the clock a little bit. Ray Sefo, Ricky Lindell in his corner. Lindell's been in his corner before, but first round he looked good. Couldn't finish the job. I don't think he gets cut. Shortage of heavyweights. Ronda's boyfriend. We'll see him again. But wow, what a difference 3 years makes for Travis Brown. Speaking of which, Johnny Hendricks, it felt like, was fighting for his UFC career as a middleweight against Hector Lombard. And while he didn't blow me away, it was great to see Johnny Hendricks back on track. It was great to see him happy. He gets the victory over Hector Lombard, fighting as a middleweight, as a 185er. Looked a little flabby, yes, but hey, he didn't kill himself on the way to the scale. Made weight, all's well. Johnny Hendricks is back. And then he calls out GSP. I don't think that's going to happen, but it was amazing on the weekend that GSP came back to see Hendricks, who many people, including myself, thought beat GSP at 167. Here he was fighting for his career as a UFC fighter and middleweight, and he picks up the win over Hector Lombard. That was a great performance. I mean, he needed that now more than ever. Gavin Tucker of Newfoundland, now living in Halifax, looking like a carbon copy of a TJ Dillashaw / Cody Garbrandt / Dominic Cruz. Foot movement, head movement, switching stances, the strikes, very entertaining. And all of a sudden, things looking up in Canada. Now with the return of GSP, now we could go to Canada with a proper show, proper pay-per-view. And the word is that they're going back in September for that. So maybe that's the one that he comes back. Sarah McMahon, I said go back. It was a little too soon for her when she fought Ronda at 170. Not so much skill-wise versus Ronda, but just the stage. Fighting, UFC title, main event, pay-per-view. I feel like we're finally starting to see Sarah McMahon come together. I feel like we're finally starting to see her realize her potential. Silver medalist, Olympics. She's looking phenomenal as of late. And it's great to see. It really is. And how about our guy, Todd Grisham? We were supposed to have Todd Grisham on the program today. Unfortunately, his flight has been delayed, and it's not going to work out. But I thought he did really well in his UFC broadcasting debut. It's a tough gig. We don't realize it sitting on our couches, but this is 7 hours of nonstop talking. And I thought him and Brian Stan gelled very nicely. I thought, we know him from the WWE days, but he's been doing boxing. He's been doing kickboxing for Glory. In fact, I recently confirmed with Glory officials that not only is he going to do this stuff for the UFC, and I do believe the UFC was happy with his performance, but he's now become the voice of Glory. He is the full-time voice of Glory now. They're going to officially announce that, I think, in the next couple hours. And that's great news for Todd Grisham. Things looking up for him. Left ESPN, was with WWE. Prior to that, was doing a lot of sports stuff, but now he's doing Glory full-time, and he's going to do these select shows. And all of a sudden, the UFC's got John Anik, John Gooden, Todd Grisham. I know a lot of people miss Mike Goldberg, but I thought Grisham did a really nice job in his UFC broadcasting debut. He's done the desk stuff for Fox, but he's never done the play-by-play stuff for the UFC. And I thought he was much better doing play-by-play than he was at the desk. Two different jobs. Stan was great as always. I thought it was funny looking at Stan and kind of just watching him sort of try to ignore what Derek Lewis had to say. I mean, you couldn't have two, different sides of the spectrum there, but I thought he handled it very well with class, professionalism, tried to steer the conversation in the right direction. But I thought it was a really nice job by Stan. And then he showed up right after on the post-fight, and I thought they should have addressed it. I really thought they should have addressed what had been said. I mean, he's talking about Ronda. He's talking about all kinds of stuff. And I don't know, credit to Stan. Stan came on and was like, oh, that was a little bit weird. And then they sort of moved on. But like, if this was inside the NBA on TNT, they addressed that sort of thing. And I know those shows are UFC shows, but like, that was one of the most bizarre post-fight interviews ever. It was entertaining. I can understand why some people would be a little, I don't know, bothered by it. I get that. You're not expected to hear that sort of language, that kind of discourse. I get it. But I thought they had to sort of address it right off the top. I thought so. Maybe I'm wrong. So that was the UFC in Halifax. Some nice performances, as I mentioned. Ayman Zahabi also picking up a win. Elias Theodorou picking up a win as well. A lot of people were asking me, why was the UFC doing this show on a Sunday? They did this last year too. I believe it was the Pittsburgh show. I think it's something to do with, was the Daytona 500? No, maybe because today's an off day. Today's a holiday in the United States. It's President's Day. So maybe they do that. But I don't know the exact reason, but I do know, because I didn't inquire, but I do know that they like to keep things consistent. You look back last year, this weekend, they had a Sunday night show. Other news last week, Holly Holm officially appealed, I should say, her loss against Germaine Randamie. She went to the New York State Athletic Commission, but we haven't heard anything back yet on that front. Wanted to talk to Germaine on the phone last week, got her this week, and very happy that she has agreed to come on the show. So let us go to the phone lines and welcome in the brand new UFC Women's Featherweight Champion, Germaine Randamie. Germaine, are you there? Germaine, do we have you? I don't think we have her. Do we have her? What's going on? All right, we're going to get her back. We were actually supposed to have Junior Dos Santos on now, but I guess he's playing hard to get, so we're going to go to Germaine. And then we will effort, as they say in the broadcast business, to get Junior on the program. So as you may recall, Germaine Randamie won the UFC Women's Featherweight title in Brooklyn around 9 days ago. She beat Holly Holm via decision. Massive win for her, getting that opportunity to fight for a UFC belt, decorated Muay Thai career. And of course, there was a little bit of controversy afterwards with the referee and the shots after the bell. I personally think it's unfair to call her a dirty fighter. I don't think that those shots were dirty. It's your job to keep going until the ref tells you to stop. And as I said on the show last week, it's on the ref to step in, and he didn't do his job. I do think we have Germaine on the phone right now. Germaine, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
How are you, Germaine?
I'm good, thank you.
It's great to have you on the show. Thank you very much for joining us. And again, congratulations on the win. What was it like when you got home? When you're back in the Netherlands now, correct?
Yeah, that's right. It's been an amazing, crazy ride. I've been so busy, a lot of TV shows, a lot of radio interviews, so it's been crazy. And last weekend, Saturday, I got the honors and a silver penning from my hometown mayor. So, yeah, it's been amazing, but it's been very busy.
So what is that? You got a silver penny?
Yeah, a penning.
What's that?
It's like a sports honor thing we have here. So
oh, wow.
Sometimes the mayor, yeah, I got it Saturday in my in the soccer stadium from
Whoa.
my hometown city team. So that was amazing.
In front of how many people?
I think 18,000.
Wow. Now, when you were thinking about, what would my life be like, if when I win, did you think it would be like this, or has this exceeded your expectations?
Well, this definitely exceeded any expectations I've ever had. It's been so amazing. I got so much love from the Dutch crowd and from a lot of fans around the world. It's been amazing. But I'm still me, so I still go to work every day. So, but it's amazing.
Where's the belt now?
It's here in my house. I'm looking at it right across from me.
Has it settled in yet? Does it still kind of feel surreal that you're a UFC champion after all these years?
Yeah, at one point definitely, but there's been a lot has been said and a lot has been done in the past week. So at some point, it settled in. I'm like, okay, if this comes probably with the job. It hasn't always been fun, but it probably comes with it.
So let's address some of that, because on Monday you went on Instagram and you posted a statement, and it seemed like you were annoyed at some of the comments. You didn't have an opportunity to talk to the press after the fight because you went to the hospital, and we'll talk about your hand in a second, but you were annoyed. How much has that kind of ruined the moment for you? Did you allow it to ruin the moment? Was there a time where it did ruin it and you had to kind of remind yourself you're a champion now, you can't let this talk ruin it? I mean, you probably want to just win, knock someone out, move on, celebrate, but this has kind of, been a cloud hanging over. Has it kind of ruined the week, the aftermath after becoming a champion, realizing your dream?
At some point it did a little bit, it's people said some harsh things, and of course it's painful. It's absolutely painful because I have so much love for MMA. I fight not because I need the money, not because I want money. I fight because I love it. And I love to share my passion with a lot of other people that love the same thing as I do. But so, yeah, at some point, you know, of course it hurts because, like I said before in interviews, I'm not a dirty fighter. And, yeah, it hurts, especially because my heart is so in it. But at the same time, I got so much love, too. You know, you cannot only focus on the negative stuff in life, you know, that things come with it. And, you know, that's part of it. And I think as a true champion, you have to deal with that. I mean, as a person in life, you know, you cannot always let the negative things, you know, let you. So I try to stay positive and look at all the great stuff that happened and all the love I got from everybody around the world. So let's look at the bright side.
Do you agree that it's really on the referee? The referee should have stepped in. You're taught to fight until you're broken up, and he was late. And then actually later on in the fight, I think it was the end of the fourth, he was early to step in, I think trying to overcompensate. But in the end, I mean, not to kind of pile on the guy, Todd Anderson, but it really falls on him. He's the one who has to step in, correct?
I do believe, yeah, the referee has to step in. And, you know, it's not always, and like Big Joe McCarthy already explained, it's not my job, and you know, all the times to listen to the Zoomer. You know, I'm in the heat of the moment. We're fighting, and we're going back and forth, and I was in the action. And as soon as he threw his hand up, I stopped. Or as soon as he put his hand in between us, I stopped. But when you're in the middle of a combination, you know, you do not always think about the bell going off.
Did he say anything to you after the first time?
Yeah, he did. He came up to me and he said, it was on the bell. Don't worry. Don't listen to anybody. It was a legal shot.
Okay. And then what did he say to you after the second time?
He said, Germaine, do not hit after the bell. You got to listen to the bell. Stop when I said break.
Okay.
Else I have to give you an official warning. I'm like, I'm sorry, sir. He'd be like, no worries, sit down.
Before they read the judges' scorecards, did you think you did enough to win the fight?
Absolutely. I think I dominated the fight. I think I did the most damage. And, you know, I stopped every takedown. And I came to fight. I do believe I threw the more clean shots. And she had a couple good moments, but I do not believe that those moments define the whole fight. I believe I was the better fighter. And
have you watched the fight again?
I watched it in separate occasions because I've been so busy, and I've watched, you know, then I watched one round, then I watched two rounds. I have seen the whole fight, just not in one play.
From what you've seen, do you recall, like, do you remember saying, okay, I won this round, won the first, the second, the fourth? Do you know which rounds you firmly believe you won?
I believe for sure the first and the second, and
yeah.
I think the fourth. Probably. I have to watch it all over again, but I knew I definitely dominated 3 rounds for sure, if not close to 4 rounds.
I thought you looked really impressive in the first and second rounds. In particular, it seemed like she was kind of, how do I explain this? Like kind of going on habit, where she was like hitting you with a 1-2, and then you would respond after the 2 and connect almost every single time. Was that something that you saw in her game leading up to the fight and were expecting her to do, or was that something that you picked up on early in the fight?
Well, I think it's both, because my coaches, you know, they've talked to me about some tactics, things they wanted me to counter on. We've trained a lot on throwing certain counter punches, but I haven't watched Holly fight, so it was hard for me to say I've seen it before. It's a pattern. My coaches knew what they wanted me to do, and I executed exactly what they told me to do. But at the same time, I felt very sharp during there, and I felt relaxed. I felt calm. And I saw a lot of things coming, so I could anticipate to the things I saw coming.
Was she tougher than you expected her to be? Was she just about how you expected her to be? How would you categorize her as an opponent?
I have a lot of respect for Holly. I think she's an amazing athlete, and she's done a tremendous job for boxing and MMA. I truly respect her. And I believe, you know, she's a strong girl, but nothing surprised me.
Okay. So when you win the belt, when they announce you as the winner, from what I heard, I was actually not in the actual arena. I was in the back, but it seemed like there were some people booing. Did that bother you when you heard that?
Yes, of course, but at the same time, I completely understand. I mean, Holly is their champion. She was the favorite. I'm still the girl from Holland. So I completely understand. But at the same time, there were also a lot of people cheering for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, it's never fun when people boo you. But, I believe no matter what happened, there were always going to be people that booing me because she has a lot of fans. And I respect that. And like I said, she's a tremendous athlete. So I understand why people have her back and support her.
So last week on the show, I said, I don't think it's fair to call you a dirty fighter. I thought you were doing your job. It's on the referee to step in. The one thing that I said, okay, in hindsight, maybe you could have done differently was if you had the injured hand, maybe not mention it in the cage, but everyone's pointing to Cyborg now. They're showing her on the screen. Just say, yeah, love to fight you. Can't wait. Let's do it. It's time to, make this division into a thing. But that's not exactly what you said. Now, we can't put ourselves in your shoes. You just fought for 25 minutes. I mean, this is something that we can never imagine. We've never experienced it. But in hindsight, would you have done it differently? Because when you said that right away and talked about an injury that you've been dealing with for a couple of years, as you know, people were saying, oh, you don't want to fight Cyborg. So like I said, in hindsight, would you have answered that question differently about Cyborg now, seeing the reaction and seeing how it was received by people?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I do not regret a thing of that. Because, the thing is, I've said I need surgery on my hand. That's the inevitable. But I've never said, do I have to have the surgery right now? Or am I going to have permanent damage if I fight again? That's something I need to evaluate with my doctor. And I apologize. I truly apologize for not making that clear. But I don't run away from anybody. I knew Cyborg was there. And Cyborg is still in there. There's no reason for me to run. Everybody is beatable, and it's an honor for me to fight also such a great champion as Cris Cyborg. I'm not running. But at this point, I do believe Holly deserves the rematch.
So before we get to Holly, how is the hand? Do you need surgery?
To be honest, I haven't seen my doctor yet. I've been so busy, and I've been getting back to work. So I got back to work. So I haven't seen my doctor yet, but I'm going to try and make an appointment as soon as possible and hope to clear things up. Also not for the fans, but also, and for the UFC, but also for me.
Do you does it hurt now, or are you fearful? How does it feel after going through 5 rounds with, you said injured ligaments, correct?
Yeah, I torn some ligaments. Yeah, it's painful, but it was painful during camp too. And that's why I went to the doctor during camp, and they did some x-rays and they did a scan. So they could see that there was damage. And the doctor told me, you absolutely need surgery. Now I'm going to, it bothers me now, but I'm not punching at the time right now. So it's okay when I'm not punching anybody, but, I have to also look for my career after fighting. So I don't want a permanent hand damage. I cannot have that with the work I do. So, I'm going to go see a doctor, and I hope, he can tell me which is the best way to go.
Was there a chance that you were, kind of close to pulling out of the fight? Was it bothering you that much?
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah, it hurts, trust me, but I was not going to pull out of a UFC title fight no matter what. I even said to my coaches, even if I have to punch only with one hand, then so will it be.
So if you had your way, you'd rather fight Holly next as opposed to Cris Cyborg. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's accurate.
And so what do you say to people who say the Cyborg is the new opponent? She was the Invicta champion. She's the greatest 145er of all time. This is the fight to make. What's your response?
I completely understand that people want to see that fight. And that fight is probably going to happen, but I'm first going to fight Holly. I think, to clear everything up, to clear everything that's been said so far, I think she deserves the rematch first. For a few weeks ago, it was still unclear if Cyborg was able to fight anytime soon or if with the Zada thing going on now that she's cleared. So I've heard, right? She's cleared.
Yeah, she's cleared.
She's cleared. Yeah, she's cleared. I think if the fight's gonna happen, it's gonna happen anyway. But right now, at this point, I truly believe that Holly deserves it first, so that we can settle things up.
What did you think when you found out that Holly was officially appealing the loss? Are you worried about this?
No, not at all. I've said it before. Justice will serve. I think the Athletic State Commission will make the right decision. And I truly also believe, even if the point would be deducted, if you look at the scorecards, if you look at the damage that's done, the cage control and everything, I think I was still the winner of that fight. So I don't believe it doesn't matter. And you know what it is? Everybody's entitled to do and say whatever and how they feel. You know, it's not up to me. And if Holly wants to appeal, I completely understand. But she can also accept a rematch.
Has the UFC approached you about a rematch, about your next fight? Any talks of future plans at all?
No, not yet. But that's also because they're waiting the result from the doctor.
Okay.
I mean, there is nothing to plan if I haven't seen the doctor yet.
Sure. And in your kind of heart of hearts, you've been fighting for a long time. When do you think you'll be able to return?
If I could tell you right now, if you ask me, I would say I hope next week. I'm honest. I don't want to have surgery. I don't like surgeries.
Yeah.
I really don't like them. But I just want to be the best me, and I don't like to fight with excuses or this is bothering me or this is bothering me. And like I said, I don't want to have permanent hand damage. So the only thing is, how bad I want to fight. I want to fight next week, but I really have to see and see how bad the damage is and what's best to do right now.
Have they told you if you have surgery, how long you would be out for?
No,
Okay.
I haven't talked about that. The only thing he said, you're gonna need to have surgery on that hand.
Okay. And just curious, if you think that you won the fight and it was decisive, why do you feel like Holly deserves a rematch?
Because of all the things that have been said right now.
Okay.
Holly believes she does. That I didn't beat her. All the negative things that hitting after the bell and in the bell. I want to get it out of the way, and because it was such a historical fight. I just want to get that out of the way.
As long as you're
champion.
Right. No, I understand. As long as you're a 145-pound champion, are you going to stay at that weight, or do you have plans of trying to move down and fight for that belt too?
Of course. I mean, who doesn't want to be the two-division champion?
Yeah.
I mean, I can make 135. Cutting weight is never easy, but I can make it, and I still feel good at it. So, of course. And that would be amazing. So I would definitely probably make a drop back to 135.
Did anything that Holly said about you after the fight, saying she lost a little respect, anything, did that bother you? Did anything that she, had to say, did you feel like it was below the belt, that it was inappropriate?
No, like I said, everybody is entitled to feel however they feel, and she can say whatever she wants to say, and I understand she's disappointed that she lost the fight. I completely understand. And maybe she didn't expect it, or she didn't, I don't know. It's not up to me. I mean, I still respect her as the athlete that she is, and I respect everything she has accomplished. And if she has lost her respect in me, or she doesn't respect me, that's her opinion, and I respect her opinion.
I asked you before the fight what winning the belt would mean for you, and you said that it would validate your career, and you've done so much in your combat sports career. And then I kind of wonder, do you even need this belt to validate your career, because you've done enough as it is? But now that it's happened, do you feel that same way? Do you kind of feel like your entire journey has been validated because you became a UFC champion?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the belt everybody wants. That's the hardest belt to get. I wrote history no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody can ever take that away anymore. It will always, I will always be the one that wrote history, also for my home country and also for my hometown. I mean, that on itself, that makes it beyond special. We have many great kickboxers.
Yeah.
And we only have only Bas Rutten, and I'm the second one, and the first lady. So I mean, yeah, that that solidifies everything.
And speaking of the fact that you're just the second person from the Netherlands to win a UFC belt, Bas Rutten being the first many moons ago, did you hear from Bas? Did he reach out to you to congratulate you?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that like?
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. Many great big kickboxers around the world, have congratulated me. And, getting a congratulations from the one and only Bas Rutten, I mean, how amazing is that? That is, that's cool. I really love Bas. He's amazing.
Did he call you? How did the conversation go?
No, he sent me, we were talking over Twitter.
Okay.
We're sending a private message to each other.
So of all the people that reached out, is that the most memorable? Is that the one that meant the most to you?
No.
Which one was?
I think the one that happened Saturday when I walked into the stadium here in my hometown.
Yeah.
That was the congratulation of 18,000 people.
Amazing. And are there any other plans, any other celebrations, set now to honor you after making history?
No. As far as I know, no.
You're done.
But yeah, I'm done. I'm getting back to work.
Okay. And so to recap, you're hopefully going to find out this week about the hand. Is that fair?
It's not. I'm probably not going to be able to make it this week to the doctor, but I hope beginning next week or the end of next week.
And for anyone saying, Cris, and they want you to fight Cris, and you want Holly, and that's what you're going to push for. You want to grant her that rematch.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it, Germaine. Thank you very much. Congratulations to you, and enjoy being a UFC champion.
Thank you so much, Ariel. Also, thank you for having me on your show.
It is a pleasure. Thank you so much. There she is, Germaine de Randamie, the UFC women's featherweight champion, joining us, talking about her big win, saying that she wants to grant Holly Holm that rematch. Later on in the program, we will talk to Cris Cyborg about that and see what she thinks about it all. Okay, let us move along. Speaking of Brazilian champions, the man who once wore the UFC heavyweight title is going to get another chance to become UFC champion later on this year, May in Dallas, UFC 211. He's getting another crack at Stipe Miocic. They fought over 2 years ago in Phoenix. An amazing fight. Somewhat flew under the radar. It was at the end of the year, but one of the best fights of the year. And now they'll be doing it again. We're talking about Junior Dos Santos. He joins us on the phone right now. Junior, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Ariel. How are you?
Thank you for joining us. I appreciate you giving us some time on this Monday afternoon. So a lot of interesting things have happened, Junior, as of late, because you were supposed to fight last night in Halifax against Stefan Struve, and that fight didn't come to fruition because he got injured, and now you're fighting for the belt. Were you surprised at how this all played out? You go from, having sort of a contender fight, your opponent gets injured, and then all of a sudden you end up in a title fight. Did that surprise you?
I was thinking about that, during my preparation, because when I heard about Stefan Struve was injured, and he should pull out of the fight, I was thinking about that, and then we have many guys denying to fight me. So I said, man, probably they will give me that title shot, because nobody wants to fight me now. So Miocic probably will have no other options, and I'm glad that happens, and right now I'm feeling really good about that. I have the feeling that I'm facing the best heavyweight right now, which is Miocic, and I'm very excited about that because I like big challenges.
By the time the fight happens, it will have been 13 months since your last fight, a phenomenal performance against Ben Rothwell. Are you worried about the time off? I mean, usually when you go into a title fight, it's not, that long in between your last fight. Does that concern you at all?
Not really. I'm feeling good. I'm training very well here at ATT, and I don't think it's gonna be a problem for me. I'm getting much mature now. I'm understanding myself a little bit better, so I can concentrate all my good energy on my preparation. So I don't think it's gonna be a problem, and I'm coming to take that battle. that belt from Miocic.
Are you full time at ATT now? Is that your home?
Yeah, I'm here training 100% here at ATT, and it's been good because I have all these guys helping me here, some heavyweights, some light heavyweights, and it feels good because I like to improve my speed, because that's my biggest difference to the other heavyweights. So I'm doing this very well right now.
Did you leave Brazil? Like, are you living in the United States full time as well?
Yeah, I'm staying here a lot. I go back and forth to Brazil, but just when I need. But I'm staying here in the United States a lot now, and I'm considering to to stay here and raise my kids here. Let's see.
And speaking of which, you found out recently that you're going to be a father, correct?
Yeah, that's true.
Very exciting.
Very recently, it was like 9 months ago. We are almost there.
Almost there. Well, Mazel Tov. Congratulations. So when's the due date?
It's March 6th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the doctor said the first kid, first son, he always come a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
So me and my wife, we are ready for everything already.
Okay, mine came a week late, by the way. So, it's not always. You never know how these kids are going
to... Yeah. She was explaining that to us.
This is your first child?
My first one, yeah.
Of course.
I'm very excited, man.
Oh, there's nothing better. Trust me, there's absolutely nothing better in this world than parenthood.
Yeah, I'm already feeling really, really different. Things are changing. My objective, my goals in life are changing. So now it's all about my son. His name is gonna be Bento. So yeah, I can't wait.
So I was actually going to ask you that. Do you feel a difference in the way you are approaching this fight, in the way you're thinking? Now you're not just fighting for yourself, your wife, you have a child, you become champion, you get paid more, everything changes. Have you sensed that even before the baby comes?
Yeah, I think so, right now I'm feeling like that. I'm feeling, it's not just me now, I have my wife, now I have my son, and things are a little different, but it's good because it makes me feel, it gives me more motivation, extra motivation to train hard, and I'm feeling happy, every time. I'm already a happy guy.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm even happier with
That's amazing.
Everything, and so I think it's gonna be very positive for my training camp.
That is true. You are one of the happiest people I've ever met. So the thought of you being even happier is an amazing thing. I wish we could all have 1/10 of your happiness in our bodies. Back at UFC 166, when you fought Cain Velasquez and you lost that fight, was there a part of you that thought, I may never get another chance at the belt?
No. Actually, that was a very hard time for me. But I knew, I could go back. I'm just 33 years old now. I have a long time to be fighting, still. So I knew, I could regain my chance to fight for the title, and it's happening now. All the division. I can tell you, Ariel. All these guys from heavyweight division. They know that I'm the real deal here. I'm not playing here, I'm taking this very serious, and I have enough skills to be the champion, to be the number one.
Mm-hmm.
And now things are different, I don't know. I can tell you that I don't want to say bad things about nobody, but after USADA is here, things are changing.
Mm.
So yeah, things are changing a lot. So now I think I'm calling this moment as the truth moment. So let's see.
When you fought Stipe, it was one of the best fights of the year. And he was kind of close to the contender spot, but not really knocking on the title shot door. Are you surprised that he became champion? Has he exceeded your expectations?
No, for sure not. He did very well in that fight. That was a hell of a fight we had. And man, that guy hits very hard. I'm not surprised that he's knocking all these guys out because he hits very hard. And that's how I told you. You know, I have the feeling that I'm fighting against the number one guy now, the best heavyweight in the scenario right now. I'm fighting against him, and that's my biggest motivation, because I know many things happened in the past, but now things are different. And this guy is reality for this division. So that's why I'm training so hard, and I'm taking this very serious, because I know I'm going to have a very tough opponent to beat.
When's the last time you watched that fight against him, the first fight in 2014?
Say it again?
When's the last time you watched your first fight against him?
I watched.
Yeah, like you rewatched it, the fight against him from Phoenix.
Man, my gosh, I watched that many times. The last time was, I think, two weeks ago, something like that. Sometimes I take a look, because after I knew, you know, after they told me that I'm gonna fight him again, I was taking a look again, you know, in our fight and some of his last fight too, you know, because we need to study him now a little bit better. You know, like as he said, you know, he's hitting harder now. So let's see. That makes me very excited.
Yeah, you say you're excited. I remember looking at your faces after the fight. I mean, that was a brutal fight. Knowing how hard he hits, knowing what you guys went through, you're still excited to face him again.
Of course, man. I think he hits very hard. You know, you guys cannot compare my face to other faces. I don't know what happened because I don't know what happened with me. You know, when I got hit, I got swollen very easy, and my face looks terrible. So that's like 10 days later after the fight, I'm completely healed. So I don't know why it happens, but as soon as I got, you know, little punches, like not those very strong punches on the face, I got swollen, and I got, you know, so every time, if you see, when I fought Cain Velasquez was like that, and when I fought him was like that. When these guys are able to hit me on the face, my face is all messed up, you know, but it doesn't mean anything. You know, I can still fight and win the fight like I did against him.
What's going on between you and Fabricio Verdum? What's happening there? I mean, you're going back and forth. There's words being exchanged. What's the issue here?
I'm not sure, actually. You know, I'm very confused with all the situation, because I thought he would like to fight me, but I don't know anymore. I don't think so. So this, I don't know, man. It's hard to say, but this guy he's doing some crazy things, you know. I think if you want to appear to have the attention of people, you have to do something significant, not just say things. And in the time of proving that things you're saying, you're pull out. So it's kind of strange.
So for the record, when Cain pulled out of their fight, UFC 207, you asked to step in, and from what you were told, he said no, right?
Actually, let me tell you what. In October, when I was ready to fight, the UFC offered him this fight, me and him.
Okay.
He said no. When Cain Velasquez pulled out the fight, you know, Nick called me and said, "Junior, are you able to fight against one of these guys that are pulling out? Are you able to fight?" And I said, "Who's pulling out?" And she said, "Cain Velasquez is out of the fight." Okay, I mean, you know, I was 7 days from the fight, and I said yes. He was prepared to fight, and he said no. He asked for I don't know, a lot of money, and then he said no. Okay, then the fight didn't happen. And when Stefan Struve pulled out of the fight, you know, they offered him again the fight. So for the third time, he said no. I cannot understand. I cannot understand how, you know, how he says so many bad things. And the worst thing is, after all this crazy things, you know, he come and said he would come from my gym to beat me up here in the gym. I said, what? What this guy is saying? He just denied to make money fighting against me in a real fight, in a professional fight, and now he wants to come here and fight for free? Come on, what's happening with this guy? You know, I didn't understand anything. but I don't think. I think he's confused. He's completely lost, on everything what he's saying. But I think the right thing is happening right now. I'm fighting the real deal of the division. The really tough guy, Miocic, and he's fighting against Ben Russell. If you guys don't know, like there in Brazil, when I fought Ben Russell, he said, Junior doesn't deserve to fight for the title because he beat Ben Russell. Who's Ben Russell is? That guy has no name, and that guy has no. His techniques are terrible. He was saying this there in Brazil, and I said, well, now he's fighting for Ben Russell, and if he wins, he wants to fight for the title. So the rules are just for me, not for him. Kind of crazy.
He told Guilherme Cruz, who works on our website, that you want to be the quote-unquote Brazilian Conor McGregor, that all you're doing is talking and you're trying to be like Conor. Have you heard this?
I'm trying to be like Conor? My gosh, man. Conor is I don't know, he's a very talented guy, He knows how to speak himself. But I'm not trying to be Conor, man. I'm Junior dos Santos. I don't need to be Conor. I'm the real deal on here in the heavyweight division, and that's more than enough for me.
Do you still want to fight him at some point? Do you care to fight him at this point, or no more?
Against Verdun?
Yeah.
Why? Why am I gonna fight this guy? He denied to fight me 3 times. Because he was the first one in the ranking. So I said that would be a good fight, a rematch. We can have a good fight here. But now, he denied to fight 3 times with me. I don't want to fight him anymore.
Wow.
You know why? He's not gonna add anything on my career. Maybe let's see in the future. But he denied to fight 3 times against me. So and Overing also as well. He denied to fight twice. Right now, when that's what UFC told me. So just these guys, they just want to fight me when I'm a really good thing for them. Instead of that, they don't want to fight me because they know, how hard I am, how well I do during the fight. And like I said, I'm coming here to be champion again.
It's amazing how things turned out. You didn't get those fights, but now here you are fighting for the belt. I'm just curious, do you still dream of another chance against Cain? Do you is the perfect scenario for you? You win the belt in May and then you fight him for a 4th time?
Yeah, I think this is one of the fights that for sure I want to do. I hope he can get better. He can heal himself from the surgery, or I don't know what he did. But I think, I want to fight him again. I feel like we have to go for the 4th fight, because in our 3rd fight, people were asking, you guys were asking us, it's the last time you guys are facing each other. And I said, no, for sure we're going to fight again. Even doesn't matter the result, we're going to fight again. But Cain Velasquez said, no, it's the last time. So he was wrong, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I hope he can do well, and because I'm going to be glad, I'm going to be very happy to face him again. Things are, like I told you, things are very different now. It's the moment of truth.
Interesting. Okay, last thing for you, Junior, and again, thank you for the time. Did you watch the fight last night? And if so, what do you think of Derek Lewis? Do you feel like this is someone that you'll be fighting soon? Is he a contender, or you haven't quite seen enough from him? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he did well. He was he did pretty well. He's a very strong guy. And maybe if he keep winning, having this kind of wins, probably we're gonna be fighting in the future. And for me, it's gonna be a pleasure to fight any one of them. Like I said before, I don't pick opponents.
Yeah.
But I don't think they are being fair with me. Because I don't pick opponents and they pick opponents all the time. they are avoiding to fight me or something like this, they are picking opponents, you know. So it's not being very fair. But about Derek Lewis, I think he did well. And if the UFC wants me to fight him in the future, or maybe Ngannou, who's doing very well too,
Yeah.
you know, we can fight. I think we can do that. I'll be happy to do that.
All of a sudden, things very interesting in the heavyweight division with some young blood coming up, like Derek Lewis and Ngannou, as you mentioned.
Good.
And a rematch of one of the best heavyweight fights I've ever seen. You and Stipe Miocic going down May 13th in Dallas, Texas. Junior, thank you so much for the time. Best of luck to you. And most importantly for now, good luck to you and your wife on the upcoming birth. Enjoy every moment. I hope everything goes well and everyone's healthy and happy afterwards.
Well, thank you very much, Ariel. Thank you for having me on the show again. And I thank you all as well, everybody who is listening to us, you know, because mark my words, you know, I'm going to be champion again.
I look forward to it. Thank you, Junior. All the best.
Thank you. Bye.
There he is, Junior Dos Santos, getting another crack at the UFC belt. Some thought he would never get that opportunity after losing to Cain Velasquez at UFC 166. Here he is, just a couple of months away from another shot at the heavyweight title. Okay, we talked about it earlier. Now let's go to the phone lines and welcome in Cris Cyborg. She got some fantastic news on Friday. She has been cleared by USADA, retroactive TUE, you know the story, therapeutic use exemption. For those who don't know what TUE stands for, spoke to her last week, but it's a much different time today as we talk to a very happy and free Cris Cyborg. So let's bring her in. Cris, how are you? Let me try again. Cris, are you there? Okay, we're going to get her. Oh, no.
Hello.
Hey, Cris, how's it going?
Yeah, great. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you very much for joining us, and congratulations on the great news. Before I ask how it felt, when did you find out that you were officially cleared?
I think 2 days after I went to the Brooklyn.
Okay.
Yeah, and then 2 days, one day, I really don't know the day, right? But I think after the Brooklyn, one day, I don't know.
When you were in Brooklyn, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you can say.
When you were in Brooklyn, were you pretty sure that it was all going to turn out well for you?
You know, I think they invited me because, you know, I will really fight for this. This is happening, you know, maybe 145 pounds and for the belt. I think he didn't bring me for be the special, you know, because they know it's really special for me. Doesn't matter it's me or not there fight for the belt, but I think they open the division 145. It's the winner for all the women.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure nothing, you know, about anything yet. I have to wait to use other investigation, everything. And yeah, but we did everything, you know. This whole thing, it's a learning experience for me, you know. If I had been better educated about the USADA process, I would have made the same mistake, you know, everything. And it's a lot of experience for me, you know, and it costs a lot for me too, you know. I lost a lot of public appearance. I lost sponsor about the whole things, and you know, 2 months investigation. And you know, I'm really happy. Everything's clean up, and you know, I have to say thank you for my team, thank you for my lawyer, thank you for Jeff Navisky, work for FC, help me, my team, you know, go through everything about the process, the process. And you know, I'm really happy that this is everything show up in the investigation, the getting clean, everything.
So you actually lost sponsors. You actually lost money as a result of this.
Yeah, you know, people judge before. You know, the problem some of media, it's they don't know what's going on. And a guy like John Rogan have 6 million followers, and he starts saying I'm a cheater. I'm going to be like banned for life. And people believe that, you know, people don't wait the results of the investigation with USADA, and they don't wait, they judge. And this is involve a lot of things, you know. I lost appearance, I lost a sponsor, but you know, I keep working with my team, and then we you know did everything did all help everything USADA for the investigation, you know, then able to contact my doctor, talk to my doctor, and do everything together. And you know, I'm really happy to prove this and then accept my TY and see everything, you know.
What did it
It's
feel like?
hard time for me.
Yeah, and I can't imagine because I know as we talked about last week, your name was kind of dragged through the mud. What did it feel like when you got the call saying that you were officially cleared?
No, this is 2 months of having happened. This man, I was really stressed about everything because I did a mistake one time in my life, and then man, I learned a lot of things about this mistake. And the one thing I learned the first time, you just some people stay with you. The hard time is just a couple people stay with you, and then this time is same thing, but. The people I really trust with me, still with me, and I appreciate everyone and my manager, my friend George Pragin. I think man, he's helping a lot of things for do this process. And I forget about what I'm gonna say.
How did you find out? How did you find out?
Then send a letter, for my lawyer,
Okay.
and then my lawyer talked to everybody in my team, and yeah, it's a really tough time, but I was I'm not doing nothing wrong. I'm not cheated, I learned, I the first athlete signed with USADA before I've been UFC. Before when I fight Invicta, I signed up with USADA for do everything test same the UFC fighters before, for sure I'm a clean athlete, And everybody can do mistake, but I try getting better and improve everything, in my life. And yeah, I really happy. Look like take off something in my back, and I'm really happy. That this everything is evolution, and I know I love my fans because I have a lot of fans trust in my job, trust me, trust my word, believe me. And in the beginning, I said, man, it's about my health, and I'm really happy about this. Everything is okay now.
You said that it was a lesson for you, and of course, so you get the retroactive TUE, you have the health issue. What if you could go back and not have to deal with this? What would you have done differently?
It's all this. I always I think like this. Everything's happened to God's plan, and you don't know. Something maybe this has happened bad, but something for me learn. Something for me learn. My team learn and growing my faith, and now I'm more. Now I know I can ask Jeff Navisky everything I'm gonna do. He work for FC for help the athletes. And I call him in the Christmas day, and then I was freaking out about everything, and he's helping me. He's helping my team for all the process. And you can have people for call, for ask about all the supplement, about everything, for teach you. You can go to the website, use that. You can put the name there. You can get more involved. I think I learned a lot, but I don't think I think everything happened for one reason. I don't think if it don't happen. No, everything will happen for a reason. I'm growing like a athlete. I learn more things after everything.
Do you wish that they wouldn't come out with the initial news until they find out for sure if you are innocent or guilty? Because as you know, people read the initial news as it came out in December, and they assume that you're guilty, and they try to ruin your reputation, etc. And sometimes it's hard to shed those labels. Did you ever talk to them and say, well, why not wait to see the whole process play out and then announce it, as opposed to coming out initially with it and having me fight for my reputation back, essentially?
It make a lot of damage about everything. It really did, and you'd be really cool if you after the investigation then show everything. But this is the process. We are athlete there, and maybe then can change, maybe not, but but I always then say it's no 100%. Then they're gonna investigation everything before then say something, but don't say don't say if my fault or not, and then the people judge, same people do the media, they want to be no fair, they're gonna be no fair, it's you cannot be fighter sensitive, have a lot of people are gonna be with you, a lot of people are gonna judge you, not just in fighter, but when you're in the media all the time, your name in the media all the time, you have to handle everything, you have to learn handle everything and try this not affect you, But it's I think after investigation it'll be better, But this is no up to me, It's other thing,
Right.
and we have to respect and then jobs.
Are you worried that the damage is done? That because of this, even though you were cleared, that people are still going to call you a cheater?
Uh, the people still call cheater anyways, Rhonda before she speaks so much, about me, and she tried to, ruin my name and speak a lot of things. And I think 5 years she's doing this because she want to avoid fight me, and she try make bad my name for no need fight me. But everybody see the reality, She lost her 2 fights, and then she never no come back after 1 year. Lost to Holloway, and then after she say all the shit. So I think people see this, and after everything's happened for me about that, and now people will follow me, will my fans gonna trust me. Always gonna have haters, and man, always I said, man, I love my haters because then challenge myself. All the time when I see something and then text something, challenge me, challenge for me getting better, challenge for me showing, who I am and when I the fight, and just have to be who I am, and they're gonna see. It take a time, but they're gonna see.
So we just had Germaine on the show minutes ago, and she said that she thinks that the fair thing to do is to give Holly Holm an immediate rematch. That's who she wants. She says one day you'll fight each other, and she's not running from you, but she thinks that the fair thing, because of the controversy, is to fight Holly Holm. What do you make of all of this?
One thing I can understand why she's feeling now, because people speak, she no win, I think, man, I think she want proof she's win the fight, But it's I don't think Holly Holm deserves the rematch now, I really don't think. I think Germaine win the fight, and then okay, Holly's great striker. But if you check it easily, she can be like 2 win and 4 loss in UFC.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you watch the fight, Holly against Raquel Pennington, if it then make this review fight, it's like close fight. But if you watch, you're gonna think Raquel get the fight. And then I don't think she deserves I think she deserves fight again and get a win. And she fights Germaine for the belt, but she's had 2 losses in a row. I don't think this rematch is gonna have to happen. I really, this is my opinion, But this is not my job doing this, We still have the matchmaker, don't know I do everything, but I don't think so, I don't think she deserves fight for again, really.
So when you saw her after the fight, you guys took a picture. She's holding the belt. You're outside the hotel. What did you guys say to each other? Did she say something differently to you? Did you ask her, "Will you fight me?" What was that conversation? How long did you speak for?
I just say for her congratulations. I think this day it's no day about to have a belt. I think it's a big day for all the women. They opened the division 145. It's a big goal. And it's the beginning. The beginning is the history because the 145 pounds FC, and I just say congratulations to her, and we take picture together, and she knows, man. She knows before she fight Holly. She's Donald said, "Who gonna win this fight? You're gonna fight Cyborg." Everybody knows this.
Yeah.
And everybody knows it. Now the people wanna try fight me, run from me, and then. But okay, maybe we can run a little bit, But this is fight it's gonna happen, It's gonna happen. I were champion 45 pounds, and everybody know this, and then I don't have to hold the belt for people know I'm a world champion. Everybody knows this, and then if she hold the belt, you have fight. You're gonna fight.
So now that you're cleared, has the UFC talked to you or your management and said, okay, this is what we want you to do. We want you to fight this time for the belt, this opponent. Have there been any talks since the news came out last week?
Before everything happened, I was told I able to fight after March. My health will be okay, everything will be okay. And after everything, I text Dana, and then because all the time I was text Dana, and I said, man, I'm gonna everything for help for result everything. I know I'm in contact to him, and then I told him, I training. I keep training all this process. I keep training, keep focused, and I told him, man, if either way I can fight Rio, for the same day Jose Aldo fight against Germaine, it would be really nice.
Yeah.
After Ronda fight, then brought Ronda fight there. I think it's a kind of made a goal for me, fight the seed. I think it's an amazing seed for a fight, and all my fans will be happy. And, if Germaine cannot fight me this time, maybe after she fixes her hand, she say need to fix her hand, maybe can bring Megan Anderson. She is have an interim belt, and Invicta, she's have her number 4 in the world, and her last four fights, she'll win by KO. I think it'll be she's Australian. I think it'll be a great fight. If Germaine already. I don't think fair. I have to wait for. I don't know, Germaine, if she need to do the surgery her hand, but I really don't know. I've never picked my opponents, and how to be put in front of me. I'm gonna fight and pass over same all my other fights.
So your ideal situation is to fight June 3rd in Rio, UFC 212 against Germaine de Randamie, right? And if you can't get Germaine, you floated the idea of fighting Megan Anderson on that card, but you'd like to fight on that card. Is that fair?
I know. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be an amazing card. It'll be in Brazil, but it's not my goal. This isn't. I live in Chavo hands and Donald hands. See what's better for them too. But I know I'm Brazilian. I think it'll be a great fight. I already did 2 fights in Brazil, and it's a really success. And I don't know. This is just the idea, But I'm keep training. You guys know I fight anywhere they put me.
When you said this to them, what did they say back to you?
Just gonna work on.
Okay.
Gonna work on and see what's gonna happen. Yeah.
Will you be disappointed if your next fight isn't Germaine? Do you want? I mean, you want to be the UFC champion. She's the UFC champion. Will it feel like a letdown after all of this if you're not fighting for the UFC belt next?
One thing I said, man, I never worry about the belt.
Okay.
I never say I never worry about belt. If she's really needs to do surgery in her hand, I want to fight somebody else, and then she really need, I don't have nothing I can do, and but I can fight anybody who want to put in front of me. I'm gonna fight, Of course, I want to have the belt, but it's for me. Everybody know I'm a world champion a long time. Doesn't matter if I have the belt on my wrist or not, and. I have patience, This is coming, they're going to stay a long time. I have patience. The belt coming, and they get the belt, and yeah.
Do you feel like she is trying to avoid you?
After everything, before the fight, we all talk about this, me, my team, and we think, man, who's gonna win the belt? They're gonna try hold the belt. How long then can stay with the belt? Maybe we think maybe injury, maybe we go back to 135, one fight 135. Well, I already prepared for this. Before the fight happened, we already prepared for this. We already talk about this. This is maybe gonna happen, and then we prepare. We knew. So who's gonna win the fight? If Holly gonna win the fight, probably she not gonna fight with me. She gonna go back on 35. Fight 135. I may be the last option.
Last thing for you, Cris, and again, thank you so much for the time, and very happy for you, and happy at how all this turned out for you. What is your message to the people who were celebrating your demise, who on that day in December when the news came out and you were kind of stoic and said the truth will come out, who said, oh, look, she is a cheater, once a cheater, always a cheater. What is your message to all these people who doubted you, including some in the UFC?
I want to say for my fans, I want to say thanks for all my fans. Believe me, believe my word, And, for the people judging me, when you judge someone, you point finger at someone, you have 3 fingers point at you. I think before you judge someone, you need to think about you first, because it's really easy. You judge someone, but I'm glad to have a lot of people text me and then, oh, Cris, I'm sorry, unblock me. All the people I block my Twitter, my Instagram, my Facebook. I'm not gonna block before again. You guys have to make other perfil. And if you guys want to be follow me, okay. If not, man, okay too. I don't think fair. You go on Instagram, you don't know the reality, don't know anything, don't know anything. You can come in and speak a lot of things, about me, bad about me. And if you know my fan, don't need to follow me. And then I block. I really block, and we don't have the process for unblock. If you want to follow me, and I knew it just take a time for prove everyone they're wrong. But I'm glad, some people text me, say, I'm sorry, I did it wrong, I did a mistake, because everybody's a mistake, everybody judges someone, but you learn, for sure when you're going to judge someone, you're going to think about.
Great job, Cris. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Again, very happy for you and happy this all turned out in your favor and that your name has now been cleared. And looking forward to seeing you back inside the cage sooner rather than later. I appreciate you coming back on.
Okay, thanks so much. Bye-bye.
All right, there she is, Cris Cyborg. Obrigado and parabéns to Cris Cyborg. All right, let's move along. During the broadcast, UFC 208, 2 weekends ago in Brooklyn, sort of flew under the radar, but there was some massive news that broke. Iaquinta is back. He's actually back. Remember, he was on this show, sitting in an office, real estate, all that stuff. He was done, and now he's back. He's fighting Diego Sanchez April 22nd in Nashville, Tennessee, so we had to get him back. I told you last week, tried to get him back. He was traveling, but now here he is joining us via the magic of Skype, the one and only Alejandro Iaquinta. Wow, what news. I'm so happy to see you, that smile on your face. This is a much different Al Iaquinta. Look at this guy, so happy. Welcome, Al.
What's up?
After, I guess congratulations, welcome back. What do I say?
I don't know. Congratulations. Yeah, it's good, right? I'm fighting again, huh?
Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's make sense of it all. How did this happen? How did you go from the guy in the office saying you were done, disrespected, the bad dealings, the contract negotiations, to that picture with Sean Shelby, and then you have a fight in April? What happened? Tell us the story.
Oh man, I got drunk and I accepted a fight. Now I got to really fight.
That's it?
No, we had a good time in Denver. Sean Shelby is a cool guy, man. I had a good talk with those guys, and they were. I was like surprised. They really wanted me to fight, and they basically told me to pick whoever I wanted to fight.
Wow.
And I was like, all right. So I thought about it for a little bit. I told them I'd get back to them, and dude, I just gotta fight, man. I don't know.
You miss it.
I just gotta fight. What's that?
You miss it.
Yeah. But I'm doing good with the real estate stuff, so it's kind of making some money. So I'm just having a good time.
Okay.
I'm gonna get in there and fight. I don't know.
Did you reach out to them to meet in Denver, or did they reach out to you?
No, I just went to Denver for Aljo's fight, and I saw him in the bar.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Up until that point, you had no plans of coming back?
I don't know. They kept offering me fights. See, I don't know. They kept offering me fights, and they kept him and my manager kept talking back and forth. But I was like, I'm just, I need more money, and I wasn't really making any money back a while ago. So now I'm making some money. I have a plan.
Okay.
Right, Mario? I have a plan.
Yeah.
And in November, it didn't really fit in the plan.
Okay.
But now it's gonna fit in the plan. So I'll fight, and we still have some medical bills that we got to talk about, and they got to get taken care of. And then so I'm probably gonna fight in April. Yeah.
You're probably gonna fight. They announced it.
No, I know that. They texted. I got a text from my manager. He texted me. He said, "Will you fight Diego?" So they said you can fight whoever you want to fight.
Mm-hmm.
Just basically tell me who you want to fight, and I'll fight. So I said I would like to fight Conor McGregor first. If I'm going to be able to fight anybody, it'd be him. With this other fucking boxing shit and whatever. So no, pick somebody else. I said Diego Sanchez I said Thiago Alves at 170. I was like, I'll just have, I won't cut weight. I'll fight. We were supposed to fight, so we'll fight, but I want to be at 170 now because he's not going to make 155 anyway. So it's like fighting a 55 or one. So I'll, do that. And they were like, well, we don't really, they're like, all right, we were not going to book him any fights, but whatever. So then I was going to say Kevin Lee at 170 because I don't want to cut weight to fight Kevin Lee. And that's like a good fight for me to come back on. But they said they want me to be at 155. And they said, you want to fight Diego Sanchez? And I was like, wow, Diego Sanchez, that's a pretty cool fight, you know? So, so I was like, yeah, I'll fight Diego Sanchez at 155, which sucks because I am fucking big right now, Aria.
How much you weigh?
I'm probably like I don't know. I was gonna get on the scale yesterday, but I was advised not to. I'll take a week off and I'll lose some weight and then I'll get on the scale.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm probably pretty heavy right now.
When you said that you
I
were
wanted to fight at 170. It would be fun to fight at 170 and just not have to cut weight. The new weight cutting thing, I think I don't like it. It's you have to weigh in early in the morning, so you have to cut weight that night, and then you have to try to sleep when you're like all sucked out. I don't know if I like that. It's going to be tough. I'd like to fight at 170 in my first one. Maybe Diego Sanchez will fight at 170. I don't know. It's worth asking, but probably wants to fight at 155. You know.
This has been done before. I remember when KJ Noons was fighting Sam Stout in Quebec. They got there and they were like, "Oh, let's change the weight class." So, I mean, it's worth an ask. Why not? Did you get a new contract?
No.
Same deal?
Same deal.
So what happened? You were unhappy with the contract. Why are you okay fighting again now?
I'm still not happy with the contract, but what the hell am I gonna do? Just fucking wait, just sit here and do nothing.
Yeah.
I gotta do something. I gotta at least fight. Nothing's gonna change. It's like they're like, it is what it is. It sucks, but you might as well just fight. And you know what? I talked to Sean Shelby. He's like, that was, at least they made me feel like appreciated, I guess, you know? The rest of they were like, they actually, I felt like they want me to fight again. And they were like, we can talk after, whatever. But for now, it is what it is. They basically like, tell me who you want to fight, So I don't know. It sucks, but I'm going to be the co-main event. How much is Diego getting paid? I don't know. Does anyone who's the main event of that fucking Lobov guy? What, are you kidding me? I don't know.
Yeah, he is the main event. Artem Lobov against Cub Swanson. At least that's what we were told.
Yeah, so
you're saying you should be the main event?
I don't know if I should be the main event, but who the fuck? I don't know. I guess, right? Should I be the main event? Diego Sanchez? Me? That guy? I don't know. You tell me who should be.
How many fights you have left on that contract?
I'm not even complaining about that. I don't know.
Sure.
Right? Fucking shit.
How many?
And you were 5 minutes late today. You're always, imagine I was 5 minutes late for you.
Jeez.
And now you're starting shit.
Wow. Are you actually mad at me? I'm sorry.
No.
Okay.
I'm not mad.
Well, it's good to it's good to talk to you again. It's good to have you back. How many fights do you have left on that deal? 3. Is the plan like?
I'm probably gonna fight. I'm just whatever, man. I'm probably gonna fight. It's not even like there's no contract signed or nothing. They just announced the fight. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
First off, but I do want the fight, and I think it's a good idea. But like fucking, I got a contract thing. I got a couple doctor's bills that need to be taken care of. I got some shit that we gotta fucking whatever.
Are you saying that it was premature? Were you surprised when they announced it?
Yeah, I was in Australia and I was doing I was at a casino doing a Q&A, and they're like, "Who are you gonna fight next?" I was like, yeah, I'm probably gonna try to fight in like April, May. And so I didn't say, I like went around it. I told the guy, I don't know who I'm fighting. I have no idea. And then 2 seconds later, they announced it on the screen. I was like, I guess, yeah, there we go.
Did that bother you?
Yeah, so that's how that went. No, not really. My manager texted me the day before, and he was like, "Would you fight Diego Sanchez?" And I said, "Sure." He said, "April 22nd." I said, "Sure." And that was that. And then the next day, it got announced on the thing.
So are you saying that there are medical bills that they told you that they're going to pay and they haven't paid them yet?
There's just bills there's bills that we're talking back and forth. I just want to make sure they get taken care of. They'll get taken care of. I have confidence that it's all gonna be taken care of, and I'll be fighting April 22nd for sure.
Would you have been content never fighting again, or do you think that it was going to bother you for the rest of your life to leave on those terms.
No, sure. It was. I'm fucking going out of my mind, dude.
But when we spoke to you, when we spoke to you at the real estate office and all that, in your mind, were you done, or was that part of the negotiations?
Yeah, you went a little far with the whole retirement thing.
What?
I don't know.
You said it, not me.
I said I was as close to retirement as possible. I was pretty fucking close.
Okay.
And I don't know if I'm still fighting. Who the fuck knows what's gonna happen? I don't know.
This is so confusing.
I know it is confusing. It's, you know what? I'm just having fun, and if I end up, it's gonna be a good fight. Diego Sanchez is a guy that's been around forever. I've looked up to him. You know, he goes to war all the time. He's technically probably not the best. I think it's a really good fight for me. A really good fight.
So what you're saying is, like,
that's why
if you end up in Nashville on April 22nd, you'll fight. But right now, you can't really commit. You have to check your schedule.
I think we're fighting. I'm gonna fight.
Have you been training a lot? Like, how's your health? Are your knee feeling good? Is everything good?
Yeah, man, I'm feeling good. I was out in Australia training. I did some training out there. I've been training. I've been in the gym. You know, I'm ready. I've been ready.
What brought you to Australia? Someone brought you out there, do some seminars, things like that. Were you treated well?
Yeah, I did a bunch of seminars. It was getting cold back home, so I was like, I got to get out of here. I remembered in the back of my head that in Australia, the summers and the winters are mixed, right? So it's summer there. So I don't know. There's got to be a way for me to go to Australia, like stay the summer here and then go there for the summer, come back and forth. That's going to be the plan. Yeah, and MMA it's pretty popular back there, you know, over there. But there's not that many you know, real good gyms. There's a couple good ones, but you know, I think it's going to really blow up over there. So it's a good idea, you know. Get over there 6 months out of the year. It's definitely possible.
So that is your plan. You're going to do that. You're going to go train 6 months there and then come home 6 months, 6 months.
No, I'm not gonna. No, just like down the line.
Yeah,
I think it's a good idea. Maybe to open a gym down there or something. I don't know. I just had a good time out there. You know, got away from the cold weather. It's summer. Could you imagine just doing that? That'd be pretty cool, right?
By the way, I haven't talked to you since you know, the MSG fight we had you on before. In the end, what was it like watching it? Where did you watch it? What were you feeling?
It sucked. I watched it I actually watched it at a bar across the street from MSG.
Oh,
it was a good time.
Why so close?
Yeah. Close. Honestly, I wasn't even gonna go in, but my cousin was there. A bunch of people that I knew were in the city. A bunch of people came in to watch, and I met them all in there, and it was a good time. Afterwards, that place was insane. The Conor McGregor fans and stuff in the street. It was like we were maybe 3 blocks away from the entrance to MSG, and it was like a rumbling. We went outside and it was like, what the hell is that? They were in the street, cutting off the street for. Why are you looking at me all weird, man?
No, I'm just listening.
You're like, I don't know. Give me like a weird look.
Oh man, I miss you. I missed you.
Missed you. All right.
I feel like you're not feeling me today. I mean, I don't know. There seems to be something that we can't quite get across or overcome. I don't know.
No. I don't know. I'm coming back. I'm fighting April 22nd. What are you gonna do?
Are you happy?
If everything works out the way I plan it, I'll be happy.
Meaning what? What are you planning?
I don't know. I'm just planning. I'm planning that when everything's said and done, Ariel, that I end up not losing in this whole fucking deal. I don't know.
Okay.
Does it make any sense? I don't know if it makes any sense. It'll make sense one day.
No, it makes sense.
But
Did you guys come to an agreement that if, you get by this fight, it goes well, that you can look at the contract again? Do they kind of want you to get back in there and then reassess?
yeah, Sean Shaw, I guess, I, they just want me to get back in there, and I want to fight again. Gotta fight, man. But what else am I gonna do?
You miss it?
Yeah, yeah. It's been 2 years. It's a long time. It's the longest I've gone without like competing in anything. So definitely got to get back in there.
Are you a little surprised to see what's happened to Jorge Masvidal since you fought him? I mean, all of a sudden now he's like the belle of the ball.
Yeah, he's killing it. It's good for me. Keep going, bro. It's good. Every time he wins, I'm like, yeah, keep going. Imagine he's the champ. I'll be like, yeah, I beat that guy.
And are you still going to do the real estate? That's still the plan?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I'm focusing a lot on that. I don't know. I'm just kind of gonna get in shape and make weight and train and have fun. I used to kill myself. I used to like be in bed at night. I couldn't sleep. I was like, yeah, fuck, that's not happening. Definitely not happening anymore. I'm making money with the real estate, so I'm just gonna go out, have fun, make weight. I wanted to fight at 170, but I'll make 155, and that's it. We'll have fun. We'll have a good time, and that's right.
All right. Well, we missed you, and I was very happy to see the news. I think I speak for everyone. Welcome back. It's been a long time. I'm looking forward to it, and you always have a home here. Look at those guns.
Thanks, Al. Appreciate it, man.
Okay, hola.
Yeah.
There he is. Iaquinta. Seemed thrilled. Seemed thrilled to be back. I wonder if GSP is as excited about being back. 2 years it's been since that infamous interview, right? That post-fight interview. You boo me. He is an interesting guy, that Iaquinta. It is good to see him back. A bit of a curveball that, same contract, same deal. But he loves fighting. He wants to be back. He wants to fight again. And he's accepted a fight against Diego Sanchez on April 22nd in Nashville. There are some things that they have to clearly discuss. And we hope that they can figure those out. All right. Let us move along. As I mentioned, June 3rd, Rio, UFC 212. You heard Cris Cyborg wants to be on the card. One man that we know for sure who will be on the card, Max Holloway. He fights Jose Aldo for the featherweight title. There he is, the one and only Wine Eye's own Max Holloway. How are you, Max?
Good. How you guys doing today, man?
Great. So there's a lot to discuss here. You found out that you're fighting in Rio against Jose, Brazil's own. Were you all in right off the bat, or were you a little hesitant, like, I don't want to go all the way to Brazil to fight this guy?
I signed the contract first. The fight was taking longer than I thought to get announced because he didn't sign his contract. So I don't know what the deal was with that. I got the contract. I didn't even know I had the contract in my damn email. My manager was busy. I just randomly checked my email. I had it in there for 15 minutes, and I sent it back in 1 minute. I signed the contract. I saw it was in Brazil, and I sent it right back. This is like I said, like that saying going around, man. This is what kings do, man. They go to other kings' villages and they take over. That's what I plan on doing come June 3rd.
So you win the belt in Toronto, and then in the cage, as you mentioned on this show and other interviews, they say to you, you want to fight in Brooklyn. And you're kind of like, adrenaline and things like that. But then once adrenaline goes down, your foot was messed up, correct? And Brooklyn was just too soon. That's accurate, correct?
Mm-hmm.
How?
Yeah.
How's the foot now?
The foot is better. I still didn't get it cleared.
Okay.
We got I think I got 2 more weeks of PT. It was first like they said like they was giving me 4 weeks PT, and then we went to doctors. They didn't clear me. They told me a couple more weeks, and we're doing the PT. We're finishing up. I think this might be the last week or next week. I'm not sure. I gotta look how much more PTs I got left, but Yeah, the foot is good. The foot feels great. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do the movies coming up, so we should do that, and then camp start beginning of April, and yeah, man, I'm ready. This guy's telling me that they're crazy, telling me I was running away from a fight from Jose. I fought much sooner when I fought Cub. I fought Cole Miller in February, and I fought Cub in April. It was like a month. It was a month away, so. I was never scared of the fight, I wanted to fight. The injuries, doctors told me I couldn't fight. I wanted to fight. I was telling them, how could I get cleared? And they said there's no way I could get cleared. So it happens.
Which movie, by the way, are you talking about?
It's called Den of Thieves, man. Den of Thieves. Gerard Butler,
Wow.
50 Cent, O'Shea Jackson Jr. They got some big names on the movie, and I end up going shooting here in a little bit. I shoot in March. March 6 and 7 is my first days. I go up there, come back down to Hawaii for 12 days, then I go back up to finish the shooting for 2.5 weeks, and then we start the camp. So everything fell in place perfect with the fight, with the movie, and I'm excited, man. I can't wait.
What's your role in the movie?
The thing is it's about bank robbers and policemen. So I'm one of the bank robbers. I'm one of the bad guys. So it should be fun.
Is this your movie debut?
Yeah, my first movie ever, first
Wow.
acting ever, and I'm excited. We see what happens. Hopefully people can understand through my pigeon accent.
Do you have a lot of lines?
I got a couple lines. I got a couple of them for sure. So hopefully maybe we gotta talk to the movie guys and tell them that they need to put a little captions at the bottom saying what I'm saying.
And was this a WME thing? Did you get this because of the new UFC owners, or was it a separate thing?
I was at WME, man.
Nice.
It was funny because after the fight, whatever, that Brooklyn fight we were supposed to get, and then we found out we wasn't fighting, and then Dana White is actually the person who called me up. He was like, "Hey, man, these guys calling for you." Brad Slater, one of Ronda Rousey's manager. He's like, "Hey, they're calling for you. They want to know if you want to try out for a movie and blah and so on and so on," because they found out I couldn't fight in February 11th. So Dana was actually the guy who gave me the call, and then Brad Slater is the guy who finished up the deal for us. So it was pretty cool.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
In late December, I actually got a call from Jose Aldo, and he spoke to me for an hour, and he was saying how, people want to talk, but when it comes time to fight, they don't want to fight. And he said that he was offered a fight against Khabib Nurmagomedov, and then Khabib turned it down. When all this was going on, what were you thinking? I mean, from my point of view, it sounded like you wanted to fight him, but you just had a fight. I mean, you just fought like 4 days prior, and they're asking you to fight, less than 2 months later in Brooklyn. When all this was going on with Khabib and him talking, what was going through your mind? How are you reacting to all of this?
That's one of the reasons why I took the movie. I thought I couldn't fight February 11th, and he came out and he was yapping his mouth. It was funny because we were supposed to fight at 205. He got offered to fight me at 205, but he was complaining about fighting me there because he wanted to fight Conor or whatever, and I understand that. And then Conor got the fight with Eddie Alvarez, so it's like, this guy's already booked, come fight me, and he didn't want to fight me. And then he said, you can Google this for all you guys who don't believe me. He said he didn't want to fight me. He said if he wanted to fight Anthony Pettis because he believed that Pettis was an easier fight. And I told him, and then I called up my manager after I heard that bullshit. I told him I want to fight Pettis next, take out all the guys that he wants to fight. So he's forced to fight me. So, that's why we could have been at 206, but he didn't want to fight then. We got Pettis, and I saw him the whole situation with all the belts is going on. Could have defended at 205 or whatever. I understand it's an interim title. I understand he wanted to fight a guy, but at the end of the day, this guy can't be telling, nobody wants to fight. He the one that didn't want to fight. I damn fought a bunch of times in the last year. I forget how much fights. I'm on a 10-fight win streak right now. So it's mind blowing. And then the reason why we took the movie is because I heard the news about him maybe fighting for the 155 interim title. I was like, man, I'm not gonna wait around for this. This guy's gonna fight in March because they said the fight was gonna probably happen in March. Mm-hmm. And then him, he likes he takes pretty wealthy breaks in between fights because of who knows why. And I wasn't about to wait around for him, so it is what it is. We got the title. He didn't get the fight. I got the movie. You know, things didn't line up, but now everything is lining up perfect. You know, and I didn't care or whatever. You know, the whole thing is everybody like Jose didn't do nothing to you and this and that. I'm like, this guy is pretty much is one of the best guys in the world. You know, one of the legends in the sport, and he's over here talking about how he wants to this guy that, and he's chasing this guy. He doesn't want to defend the belt until he fights this guy. You know, that my thing when I look at it, you know, if you're the best in the world, you're willing to fight anybody, anywhere, and anytime, and you know, things happen. You know, injuries stopped me from fighting him on February 11th, which killed me because I wanted to fight him. You know, this is one of the fights I always wanted. This is one of the fights I wanted since I was like 19 years old, since I was watching the guy. You know, since WEC, and now we're here. Now we got the date. You know, it's in his backyard, and it's time to prove to the world I'm one of the best.
Just curious, when you found out that they offered him Khabib, did you call up the UFC and say, like, what's going on here? You just offered me this fight. I told you I'd be back. Why are you putting him in an interim lightweight title fight when I'm the interim featherweight champion? We're trying to unify these belts. Like, just wait a couple months. Did that frustrate you?
You know, it is what it is. You know, I had no control. I have no control over his money. You know, it's and the thing too was it kind of scratches your head. You know, Aldo said a bunch of things before that didn't go through. So when I heard this, I was like, maybe this is not gonna happen. And look, it didn't happen. So it is what it is, man. I couldn't control it. You know, I tell everybody there's one thing that you can control in this game. It's your own damn feelings, and you know, I don't worry about too much what they do. And when we get to fight, we get to fight. You know, I was a little irritated, but you know, it is what it is. I'm gonna see him. So I knew I was gonna see him sooner or later, and you know, just so happened we got the date on June 3rd, and everything worked out. You know, in Rio, in his hometown, main eventing, and yeah, I couldn't ask for more.
Did you get that brunch meeting that you were asking for with Dana White and company? Did you ever get to sit down with them?
No, we had dinner.
Okay.
No, we did. It is what we just me and Dana White and a couple of his guys and my team we had dinner, but wasn't nothing too crazy. You know, just regular dinner, and you know, we didn't talk too much business, but we see after this next one. You know, we go after Jose. You know, we're gonna do what I'm gonna do against Jose, and then we can talk down after that.
Yeah, I saw a picture. I think it was you, Dana, and I think your manager, Brian Butler. You guys seem very happy. So I was thinking like, oh, maybe Max got a new deal or something. Nothing of that came out of the dinner?
No, nothing like that, man. You know, just good time. You know, good picking White's mind, and it's just being good spot with the company. You know, so it is what it is, and I just can't wait, man. The future's looking super good.
Yeah. Did you float the idea? Okay, we'll do the Aldo fight, but then I want the Conor fight after that. That's the money fight.
You know, I keep saying, you know, it's everybody know who the money fight is, and everybody's begging for it. But at the end of the day, if Conor's gonna fight who he wants to fight, so I'm not gonna beg that guy for a fight. You know, it's just one more guy on their knees trying to ask for a fight. I don't care. I'm gonna become my own damn money fight, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
And if Conor then wants to fight, they wants to fight. You know, he knows if he ever comes back to 45, you know, he knows who's his toughest fight down here. You know, so he can come see me when he's ready. And other than that, it is what it is, you know. If we go up to 55, the fight happens. You know, they choose who they want to fight, you know. So I'm not gonna beg. He's gonna choose at the end of the day who he wants to fight, and there's no reason to beg. And you just sound like another freaking crybaby out here looking for a handout.
He still considers himself the 145 champion. Do you ever believe he's gonna go back down to 145?
We see, you know, everybody say that, oh, he's too big, can't make the weight. Yeah. I think he make the weight, you know. I think so if he wants to. If he really wanted to come down, you know, you got to give him a reason, you know, and we see what happens, you know. We see what happens after June 3rd. We see if he gets a new reason, and I think he can come back down. Everybody says he's this big guy, this and that, and yeah, but at the end of the day, we're professional athletes, and we know how our body answers to stuff and what our body can do, and if we really wanted to do something, and he made the weight before, you know how is he feeling the weight before? This ain't a new weight class to him. I think so. If he really wanted, he'd come back down for sure.
A video was posted just a couple of days after you won in Toronto, and you were kind of, it seemed like you were driving home. I think you were rocking the DeMar DeRozan jersey, and there was this group of people waiting for you in some kind of strip mall. Did you know that that was happening? And regardless, what did it feel like to come home? I mean, Toronto, Waianae couldn't be further away from each other, and to come home after that long journey and to be greeted like that, what was that like?
Oh, it was crazy. It was crazy. They didn't get it, but at the airport they had something. They had pretty big stuff for me too, but my cameraman didn't have his stuff on and and whatever. And then we found out that a couple people might be outside holding signs. So we was like, oh, it's cool. So we made him turn on his camera. I didn't expect that much people, but it's amazing, man. It was amazing, and what you said, it was just it's crazy. It's surreal, and seeing people from the city that I'm from, and people I didn't even never met from the city, and they telling me thank you and this and that. It was an amazing feeling, and it's not done yet. Hopefully we got a bunch of more of those coming here soon in a bit, and it was a great feeling, man. Give some pride back to a place where it's kind of frowned upon. The city I'm from is kind of the low income city, and we always got the bad rep on the media and stuff, and to bring something back positive home is always great. Doing something great for your stuff and showing the kids that look, if it's not where you're from, it's how bad you want it. If you want it that bad, you can be one of the greatest guys in the world in anything you can do.
Have you noticed a difference now, a couple months later, how people treat you in Waianae?
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. The kids here, the people here, they always treated me great. And we're getting noticed a lot more. But yeah, big difference, man. They love it. They take pride. A couple days ago was the first person I ever had like that cried to me.
Wow.
A grandma, a old grandma. She was like crying to me. I was like, she was so happy and enjoying it and like loving what I did. She was telling me thank you and crying. I was like, oh, you need to stop crying. I must stop crying, man. So it was fun. It was great. And give this kind of hope to people like that is amazing.
Wow. By the way, when you met with Dana, did you talk about an event in Hawaii? Is this going to happen finally?
Oh yeah, man.
What's going
hope
on?
so.
What's
It's
the
over
problem?
here. I have no idea what the problem is. They saying that it might be too expensive to bring everybody down and this and that. And
Uh,
I was like, come on, you can get your money back. I see that they want to go after the Korean Zombie. He's saying he wanted to go to Korea and stuff. Like, man, I'm gonna give him a reason. I'm gonna give him a reason to come to Hawaii. We can get one in Hawaii for sure. I think, and I think it's just a matter of time. I think so. We need a couple more guys doing our damn thing in there, and I think we can get one. I think before my career is done, we're gonna have one in Hawaii, and it's gonna be fun.
by the way, you are the face of Hawaiian MMA. There's no doubt about that. At one time, it was BJ Penn. What did you think when you saw his fight a couple weeks ago? I know you're not the best of friends. You don't train together, but I mean, considering who he was and what he represented, what was it like to see, the way that fight played out?
And man, it sucked. You don't ever want to see guys go out like that, especially a guy like BJ. He's a legend in the sport. He is a legend in the sport, and you don't see him go out like that. It's this bad, man. This some nights ain't your night, and he's just been on a bad streak. But hopefully, I don't know if he wants to fight again and or do whatever he wants to do, but man, that just leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and you don't wish anything upon something like that upon anybody. You want to go out there, you want to see a fight, and just wasn't his night, man. Hopefully, if he does come back, he gets in there and do his damn thing. It was tough to watch for sure.
Do you want to see him fight again?
You know, who knows? Go give him someone that wasn't like an upcomer like
Yeah.
Yarir. You know how Yarir is coming up and whatever. Give him somebody who's been in the game like him for a while, and make an interesting fight, make him a money fight, and we see what happens.
Is there any concern on your part that the Aldo fight doesn't happen? Because I know you did the where is Jose Waldo and all that. Are you worried at all, or do you think it's going down? It's finally going down.
Well, yeah, though. I don't know, man. If it doesn't go down, if it doesn't go down in real, I have no idea. It happens. It happens. I understand injuries and this and that and whatever. But at the end of the day, I have no control if he gets hurt. I'm gonna be one pissed off guy, but you gotta control your feelings in this sport, and And if it's not that date, hopefully we can rebook it soon and get it another date.
Yeah, but
Whoever they want to fill in.
I don't want to put bad vibes out there. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying in the back of your mind, are you like not allowing yourself to get fully excited? You know what I mean?
Oh no, I'm going. Bro, everything I do, I go full in. Everything I do, I go all in, bro. You gotta go all in, and I gotta put my heart in there. When I do my training, my heart gotta be in it. I can't be going in there if I'm half-assed thinking like this guy's not gonna show up. I'm gonna half-assed go to the gym and train. No,
Sure.
I'm getting ready for the best Jose Aldo that's gonna be, and that's what happens. And if it happens, if bad luck happens again, he has a bad streak, he gets hurt again. It is what it is. It happens. We're on to the next one. We're not gonna cry. We're not gonna moan. It's gonna be freaking frustrating as shit. But I buy myself all in, man. You want to be the best in the sport, you gotta do it. You can't. I can't go through training thinking he's not gonna show up. I half-ass training and then he shows up and then I go in there with half-ass training. I get my ass kicked. And this is a sport where you're only as good as your last fight. And if I get my ass kicked in that fight, people are only gonna remember Max getting his ass kicked. So I ain't about that life. I'm full in. I'm buying in, and I'm getting ready for the best Jose Aldo, and I hope he's getting ready for the best version of me.
All right. Last thing. Have you allowed yourself to think about the fight and how it's going to play out? And do you have a sort of vision in your mind how you're going to beat him?
Yeah, man, there's no surprise what Max wants to do, what I want to do. I go in there, I strike, and I strike some more. These guys keep telling me that that every time I fight a striker, everyone always tells me Max's striking is not as good as this guy's striking. The Anthony Pettis fight, everybody's like, Max's striking is not as good as Anthony Pettis. Same thing with Cub, and whatever, and I'll tell you guys now, man, I've been making these strikers turn to wrestlers for a while now, and I wouldn't be surprised if Jose tries to do this against me come June 3rd. I'm going to go in there and do what we do best, man. I got some of the best coaches in the world. We got some of the best game plans, and every single damn fight, you guys see me raise that level all the time, and that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna raise the bar against Jose, and you guys are gonna find out. It's gonna be fun. We got some secrets up our sleeves that I can't tell, but you guys tune in June 3rd to the pay-per-view. You guys gonna watch something amazing.
All right, can't wait for it, and I hope you have a nice suit for us as well, like you did in Toronto. Should be a lot of fun. What a great fight that is.
Thank you, man. We got a suit coming. I got one in mind, and you guys are gonna love it.
All right. All the best to you, Max. Appreciate you coming on early in the morning over there, and good luck in training. Looking forward to it.
Thank you, brother.
All right. There he is. Max Holloway joining us. Great fight coming up. UFC 212, June 3rd in Rio. Okay, let's move along. An honor as always. We've had him on twice before. And no better time than now to speak to the legendary Freddie Roach, a massive part in bringing George St. Pierre back to the UFC, and really wanted to talk to him, and he has obliged, and he is joining us on the phone right now, the one and only Freddie Roach. Freddie, how are you?
I'm doing fine. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. I really appreciate you coming on. I know you're very busy, so thank you so much for the time. So the word that came out late last week was that you and Nick Khan of CAA played a massive role in getting GSP back into the UFC, of bridging that gap with Dana White. Could you tell us when this started, when you got involved, from the onset? How did it all happen?
Well, just talking to George, and he's having problems with negotiating with Dana and UFC, and I mean, we're talking about issues of like maybe suing them at one point. I went through the Pacquiao case once where we had to sue a promoter, and it went really well, and I was kind of the star witness there. But that was a long time ago, and that has a lot of stress on the fighter and so forth. So I called Nick, and I said, Nick, I need some help with negotiating a deal with UFC with Dana, and because I'm not a really good negotiator or a numbers guy or anything like that, but Nick is, and he does a lot of work for me, and I thought he was the right guy, so we got together and we went over a game plan, and I introduced him and George, and everyone get along fine, and everyone really liked the game plan. We went in to visit with Dana. And Dana, again, being a Boston guy like myself and the guy that moved to Las Vegas, like I did, and at one point in my life. And so it worked really, really well. Dana was great, and we went to see him. We made arrangements. Me and Nick went twice to see him, and I think we ended up coming up with a really good plan and a good solution for George.
When did this start? When did you? Sorry, go ahead.
We started that maybe a couple of months ago, and we did meet with George first, and I introduced him to Nick, and we all worked on the game plan together, and it worked out very well.
So to be clear, it wasn't necessarily GSP coming to you and saying, "Freddie, help me." He was just kind of talking about a situation, and you're the one who said, "Let me see if I can help."
Yeah, that's it. I mean, let me see if I can help you. I said, because I know a lot of guys. I've known Ari for 20 years, and I gave Ari a call and told him that, me and Nick were going to meet with Dana. And, he was happy about that. And he told me, that George is one of his favorite fighters. And so he's a big fan of George, and he was a big fan of me and Nick going to meet with Dana. And again, Ari, all those guys, they're longtime friends of mine, and they, good people.
Was George hesitant at all? Was he like, "Oh, I don't know if this, we've been trying for months. Freddie, you don't need to get involved. This is not your thing. You're a trainer. That you're not a negotiator." Did he kind of try to stop you from doing it?
No, he didn't really try to stop me. He was, but I told him that I know all these guys and so forth, and they're somewhat friends of mine or business partners. The thing is, I was friends with these guys for a long time, and I know them really well, and I know Nick's a great negotiator. So, we came up with a game plan, and everyone was on board, and everybody liked it. And, we weren't looking to steal anyone away from anybody, and we just wanted to make the best deal we could for George. And I do train him quite a bit, and he is he's a great guy, and he needed some help, and that's what we did.
Could you tell us, Freddie, what the game plan was?
Well, the game plan was to go in and get the best fights for George at the right time, and I think we end up doing that, and it did take 2 meetings with Dana. We did have to go back to Vegas and renegotiate the second time, and but it all worked out really well, and everyone was happy at the end of the day. I think everybody was happy. So we do have a great deal up there, and I'm looking forward to help George get ready for these fights, and I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
I know Dana has the utmost respect for you. He speaks with you about you with great admiration. Initially, when you guys sat down, was that the case right off the bat, or did it at all get contentious? Because I know there were times when the talks with GSP with his management weren't progressing, and it was frustrating for everyone.
Yeah, the thing is, George was a little disappointed, and he because his people couldn't get the deal done and couldn't negotiate the deal with Dana. I think there was a little dislike there somewhere along the way. So that's why me and Nick being neutral parties. We had a good game plan going in, and I think we built off a great deal for him, and it was. I think it was a very, very fair deal, and Dana was very, he was good with us. We negotiated the deal very well. Negotiations with UFC are a little bit different than negotiating with another boxing match, because usually you have to go to contend with the other side, the opponents, or what. But with UFC, it's more they tell people what to do. And so the deal was done, and this guy's going to fight you. And like in boxing, you have to wait for that guy to say yes. But with the UFC, it's up to them. They tell you, and they dictate a lot. But the thing is, we did negotiate the best fights at the best time, I feel.
The first time you met, how long was that meeting for?
First time, maybe an hour or two. Second time was maybe a little bit longer. We had Dana's assistant in there working over the numbers and so forth, and the pay structure and so forth with certain bonuses on wins and selling the fight and selling so many hits, and so it was quite complicated. It was really it was a lot of work to be done, and I think the first time was about an hour, maybe two, and the second meeting was maybe 3.
After the first meeting, did you think you had a done deal, and were you not expecting to go back, or did you know that you would eventually have to go back to try to finalize this?
We're close, but the thing is, I knew that we'd have to go back and finalize it and so forth, and that's, I started making some calls, and I called, that's when I called Ari, and, I go way back with Ari before he was a big shot like he is. I say that with all the respect in the world because he's done great for himself. And, and then, of course, I called Peter Berg, who's friends with everybody also.
Wow.
And, and then, again, we knew that we'd have to go back, and it was, but we're definitely ready for it.
Do you remember when you knew that the deal was done?
Pretty much the deal was all locked in by the time we left the second time. But, we had to run that past George, of course. And I knew George would love the deal because, we knew what George wanted going in, and I think we got him what he wanted.
Does he stand to make more money in his next fight than he ever made before?
You know what? I really don't know the answer to that because I don't know what he's made before. So I know he's getting a very good deal, but I don't know if it's more than ever. I don't know pre payments before because I've worked with George, of course, and trained him and so forth, but I've never got into his business end of it until he needed the help.
When do you expect him to return?
I thought he was going to retire after the last one, and he was heading that way, and then I got a phone call, and he wanted me to go up to Montreal and train with him, and we had some great training sessions, and he wasn't like near shot or near all done, and we just made sure that he was 100% to get ready for a rematch for another fight, and we made you can see things when people start slowing down and so forth as a trainer, and I will tell people to retire when they need to. And at this point, I thought George had a lot more fights left in him, and that's why I went ahead with the whole deal.
So did you have a heart-to-heart with him? Because from what I understand, it's not like he needs money, like he's on hard times. He just wants to fight again. And one of those rare guys who left on top and now just wants to come back because he loves it so much. But did you have to sort of hear from him and find out for yourself that he was coming back for the right reasons and that he wouldn't ruin his legacy? Was that a concern for you?
Of course, that was the biggest concern. I mean, the thing is, there's no sense in coming back just for money, and that wasn't the issue. The thing was he still wanted to fight, and he brought me up to Montreal to train with me to show me that he really meant it. And his work ethic was as great there as I've ever seen, and he does that great work ethic every day of his life. And once I was convinced that he can fight again and be very competitive at a very hard sport, I was completely on board.
There's been some talk that he'll fight at either the 170-pound division for a belt or 185-pound division for the belt there. Do you have a preference which division he fights in, and do you have a preference in opponent?
Well, the thing is, I pretty much George told me and Nick what he wanted and who would be first and so forth, and who would be the best fight at the right time. Again, so the thing is, we negotiated that. We talked that over, so we knew that going in. So Nick knew what to go after, and we get the right guy at the right time.
Could you tell us who that is?
Yeah. Not right now. I'm sorry, I can't.
I understand. I had to ask.
I'm sworn to secrecy.
Fair enough. Is there a concern though to go right into a title fight as opposed, gone for 3.5 years? Why not ease your way into it?
Well, the thing is, I don't really believe in that. To ease your way back into it is like, people ask me like, who's Manny Pacquiao going to fight next? And I hope like Pacquiao fights the best guy out there because. For him to continue to box at the elite level, I think he belongs there, and I think that we can fight those fights. And if George had to fight a couple of easy fights first to get back to where he was, I don't believe in that. I think he's 100% ready to fight again, and we'll make sure he's in great shape for the fight. And everything is just formalities. But the thing is, he doesn't need to ease his way back into it. He knows what he's up for. He knows these opponents, and I know these opponents also. And the thing is, UFC is a very tough sport. But the thing is, if we didn't want to come back just to come back. We wanted to come back and be world champion. We want to be the best.
How about his return, like the actual time frame? I heard third, fourth quarter. Is that what you're expecting as well?
Yes, and it's again, it's getting hectic with my schedule with Pacquiao and Cotto, but nothing solid yet. But the thing is, once we make that deal once we start training with George, I will be in training camp 90% of the time for sure.
Okay, wow. And do you expect to corner him as well?
Yeah, I do. It'll be my first UFC fight. Yes.
Wow, what a huge deal that is going to be. That's amazing to hear. By the way, I would be remiss if I don't ask you about Floyd and Conor. Do you think that this fight is actually going to happen?
Well, Floyd actually came to my gym and told me, Freddie, I hear that Conor had talked to you, and I said, no, he never has. But he says if he reaches out and wants you to train him, he says I would take that job because he said I am going to fight him, and he says we can all make a lot of money. So according to Mayweather, yes, he told me he would fight him, and everything's pointing in that direction right now. At one point, I didn't think it was possible because I tried to make a fight one time when I was training Andrei Arlovsky, and I tried to put him in with one of the Klitschko's, and I thought I had a good idea, and I went to Ari's office, and I hadn't seen Ari in about 10 years, and he said, Freddie, why don't you just call me up? I said, Ari, I haven't seen you in a long time. I want to make sure you remember me. He said, come on, yeah, of course I remember you. I said, well, and I asked him, and he told me that will never happen at that time. But we're in a different era now, so it looks like it's going to happen. So I mean, everything's pointing in the right direction. I think that Conor will have his hands full with a boxer like Floyd, but he's sellable. He's making some noise, and for a while I wanted him to be George's first fight.
Right. Yeah, that has been discussed as well. When did you speak to Floyd, by the way? How long ago was that?
That was about 2.5, 3 months ago.
Okay.
He came by my gym twice for some reason.
Huh.
I don't know why he came by my gym, but he was very nice. And we did have a good conversation. And he told me that he's retired and he's not going to fight again. So, but at that time, he said, but if that Conor McGregor comes to the table, he says, that one I will fight. So, but as far as Manny Pacquiao wise, I was leaning towards the rematch, he said that's not going to happen right now.
Almost every boxing pundit that I've heard from says Conor has no chance against Floyd. Do you agree with them, or do you think he has a chance if they box?
Well, he is a pretty good striker, and the thing is, Floyd's a great boxer. He was really good at hit and not get hit and so forth. And I think it would take a long time for Conor to get ready for a boxing match, a pure boxing match. But one punch can change anything in the sports we're in. So I'm not going to counter him out completely. I think that Mayweather is a favorite, yes, but I would never count anyone out because he throws hard, and he's not afraid to throw. So the thing is, I like that about him, and he's a sellable guy. He's very witty. He makes me laugh. He's pretty funny. But the thing is, when that bell rings, he better be ready though, because he's fighting one of the best boxers of his era.
Would you be interested in working with Conor leading up to this fight if he gets it?
I haven't been offered anything yet. I would like to try to help him get ready. That would be honored for me, yes. But right now, George is my main concern, and George has first priority at this point.
And I've seen Tyron Woodley, Sage Northcutt, Rafael Dos Anjos say they've been to Wild Card. Are you working consistently with any other MMA fighter or just George right now?
None of those guys come to my gym, and I do mitts with them at times. And but right now, George is the main guy I've been working with. Everyone else is just like when they show up, I'll do mitts with them and stuff like that, and help them out and try to help them out. But the thing is like doing mitts with an MMA fighter and doing mitts with a boxer is so different because you have to take into consideration the legs and so forth. So it's a lot more complicated than people think, and not everybody can do it. And I've learned a lot about UFC I have to learn. I have to know because if I don't know what the counter could be, I could run into a knee or a kick or something. So it's kind of fun for me because I like to learn, and I like to learn about other sports and so forth. And I know a lot more about UFC than I ever did, or MMA than I ever did before. But it really helps me in my training now.
Last thing, Freddie, and again, thank you so much for the time. Do you know when Manny Pacquiao will fight again?
I don't have an exact date yet. They're going between Australia and Dubai at this point. And, Bob tells me one thing and Mike Khan tells me another. But I don't know who's lying. so I'm waiting. I don't know yet. I don't have an exact figure yet. But it looks like they're talking about April, May.
What about opponent?
If it goes to Dubai, they're talking about Amir Khan, and if fight goes to Australia, they're talking about Horn. So, Horn's just not a big name, but he is a big name in Australia, and he's a very tough kid. But in the United States, he doesn't have a big name. But depends which one goes through.
Can't thank you enough, Freddie. On behalf of the MMA community, thank you for helping to get this done. We owe you a debt of gratitude. What a great story. And again, I know you're incredibly busy. It means the world that you would come on the show to talk about all of this. Congratulations to you and the team, and best of luck in training George for his comeback fight. Can't wait for it, and all the best to you and your team as well.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it very much.
All right, there he is. Wow, how about that? Freddie Roach, a living legend. What an honor. How cool is that? Freddie Roach picking up the phone, calling up Dana White, calling up Ari Emanuel, saying, let's get the deal done. Let's make it happen. And in a matter of 2 visits, after months and months and months of stops and starts, on and off negotiations, they get it done. Freddie freaking Roach, how cool is that? And he says he's going to corner him in his return to the UFC. What a story. What a turn of events. What a gift for the UFC. An amazing week last week as we found out that George St. Pierre was back, officially back. And everyone who said, stop talking about him, he's not coming back, he's back. How about that? Great stuff. Later on in the program, by the way, we're going to talk to Firas Zahabi, who knows a thing or two about George St. Pierre as well. He'll be on in around 20 minutes. Big weekend for him. Not only is George back, and by the way, go back to all the Firas Zahabi interviews. He always thought he was coming back. He was very confident from, a month after 167. He's been saying it for almost 30 years. 30 years. What am I talking about? 3 years. You're correct, making me confused here. But we are getting Matt Mitrione on in a second. It was a somewhat forgettable weekend for Mr. Mitrione. As we talked about, he was supposed to fight Fedor Emelianenko, man Freddie Roach knows a thing or two about. Fight didn't happen. Kidney stones, horrible pain. If the thought even crosses your mind to accuse him of running, to accuse him of ducking, to accuse him of figuring a way out of the fight, please don't let it enter your mind. For males, there are few things worse than kidney stones. Trust me on this one. There are very few things that I can relate to fighters with. I don't have that experience. I never will have that experience. I don't have that testicular fortitude. I just don't. But I know kidney stones. 2002, I'm backpacking in Europe, south of France, with my friends. I start to get this unbearable pain, lower back pain. Not sure what it is, indigestion, what the heck's going on. Then I'm crumpled up in a ball, throwing up. There's nothing left. I'm heaving. I'm going to the hospital, dehydrated, can't eat for 2 weeks. And then they told me, this is the best part about the whole thing, they told me that if you don't pass this stone, they put an IV in me and they were shooting it with liquids, but at the strongest speed possible, shooting it to try to break the stone because it was big. And they told me, finally, if you don't pass this thing by Sunday, we're going in there. We're going in there to take it out. And that scared the hell out of me. And the day before, Saturday, I passed it. And let me tell you, that moment when it passes is the greatest feeling. It's the worst feeling to have it. When it passes, it's the greatest feeling. So that's why when I saw Mitrione's tweet saying, I have passed it, I'm a happy man, I felt like I had passed it again. He was typing in all caps, tweeting. He just passed it in the Dallas airport. He was the happiest man alive. I felt that joy. It is a tiny little thing. For me, it was due to dehydration. I wasn't drinking enough water. It was very hot outside. I was drinking like Coke and iced tea. You got to drink a lot of water, 2 liters at least every day. I don't even do that enough. I'm drinking 1 if I'm lucky. Has to be more. You don't want this pain. Trust me. Scared me. Haven't had a soft drink since. No joke. Maybe a little sip here or there, but it scared me straight. I will never forget it. Calcul. They called it a calcul in the south of France. Thank God I spoke French and I wasn't in like Germany or somewhere or Greece where I didn't speak the language. At least I can, at the time, converse with the nurses and the doctors. But it was a nightmare. It really was. It was horrible. And so when I found out that Matt Mitrione was dealing with that mentally and physically as he's preparing to fight Fedor Emelianenko, my heart went out to him. A horrible turn of events for Bellator. They had a lot riding on this. It was a big fight. And you have to feel for Matt. This was a massive opportunity. You don't get to fight Fedor every day, but it sounds like they're going to try to rebook the fight. And it would be great if they can do it in San Jose. A lot of those people bought tickets to see this fight in particular. That was the money fight. That was the marquee fight. Maybe later on this year, that would make a lot of sense. Let's bring in Mr. Mitrione. Matt, are you there?
I'm here, brother. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. I really appreciate you coming on. We were talking before about, after the fight, come on the show, talk about it. Obviously, we could never have imagined it going this way. What's it like to go back home after the long trip to San Jose and you don't get that release? You don't get to realize the dream of fighting Fedor. It's physically taxing. It's disappointing. And you just come back and nothing happened. How do you come to terms with that?
It's really difficult, man. Like it's I'm an athlete. I've relied on my body my entire life, and for something like this to happen at the literally the worst possible time just just hurts my heart, man. It's really difficult to handle, and the fact that like I literally did everything I possibly could. Bellator did everything they possibly could to extend my time frame. Like tried to help out, and then it just got to a point where it just wasn't going to work, man. There's nothing I could do about it at all.
So when did you start feeling the symptoms?
That's kind of a good question. Like, I don't, you never know if it's like, you change your diet a little bit. I was traveling, it's a little bit of, gastro discomfort or whatever else from eating differently for a couple of days. But it really started to kick in kind of on Friday. And it was like, just like, it was, I didn't know if I got sick all of a sudden, it was just what the problem was, but it just kind of kept magnifying and amplifying, and it couldn't get, like I got to the point where I was absolutely miserable, and like weigh-ins I had to put on a show and be like, hey, I look good, because I don't want Fedor to see like this puking doubled over in agony kind of guy. And so it was really difficult, and then it just kept getting worse. And then Saturday the Bellator was like, look, dude, we got to go to the hospital, this thing isn't right, something's going on. Went to the hospital, told them what was going on. They said, look, it's probably kidney stones. They hooked me up to my V's to try to flush it out. And then they gave me a CAT scan to kind of see what was really going on. And that's where they saw the stone. The stone hadn't even passed.
Hmm. Have you ever had a kidney stone before?
I've had a kidney stone before, but it was in a different, it was a different feeling. And it took a long time. It wasn't like the doubled over in agony kind of feeling at first. It was like, this one was a lot of pressure. It wasn't like it was different. And like the fact that I couldn't pee and stuff, it was just a really interesting situation that came up. And it wasn't like anything I'd ever experienced before.
So this one was more painful than the first one.
This one was excruciating. Like was not a good situation at all. And that's the thing. Like, that's what sucks, is that like the decision had to be made at 3:00 Pacific time, and at 2:55 I'm strung up to a double IV trying to push this thing through, trying to find some way to get to work.
Gosh, like what's going? How are you dealing with this? Are you like getting emotional? Do you want to, rip these things out of your arms and try? I mean, this is the Fedor fight. This is the one that you all want, the big money fight in Bellator, and you're in a hospital. Like, how emotionally, how were you dealing with it all? Mentally, how were you dealing with it?
Oh, dude, we Cris Lytle and I were in the hospital, like strapped up, and we're like, hey, look, man, if because I had blood in my urine, so there was nothing I could do about it, right? It was like the decision was made, and Mr. Coker was like, absolutely not, can't do it. It's not safe for you to get down. And before we had found all this stuff out, Cris and I had a plan, like, hey, look, man, we probably got about 45 seconds to a minute before your body starts to give out on you. So make the fight, go get in there and throw down and try to knock Fedor out in 45 seconds. Go hell bent, go across the cage, start throwing fire, see if you can knock him out. If you can, pull a Forrest and jump your ass right out of the cage and go get treated. But then like we were like, dude, what the hell is that, man? That's not real. That's disrespectful to the fans, to the sport, to my family, to my name, across the board. I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, what kind of common sense is that? And that's when, pretty much right after that, is when we got the results from the CT scan, and Mr. Coker was like, deal's off. You haven't even passed the stone. No, you're not getting down.
Wow. So you were actually willing. You were like kind of thinking about how you can pull this off.
Yeah, dude. Like, I was so worried that once we found out it was a stone, 'cause that's what the doctor said it sounded like. And once we got to that situation, I was worried that, like, what happens if I get caught in a body lock and he puts any kind of pressure on me? Like, what am I gonna do? Tap to air, tap to a body lock? Like, what am I gonna do? Like, how pissed off would the fans be for that kind of a showing? Like I had absolutely nothing left, or it was just it was like a rock and a hard place, pun intended.
Mm-hmm.
That there was no good option, man. It just sucked, and I still am guilt ridden. Like, I've apologized to so many people. Like, I'm so sorry this thing happened. It just sucks. Just sucks, dude. I saw some people afterwards, and they were like, dude, we drove hours. We bought airplane tickets. Like, we did so many things. And I was like, man, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's a horrible thing, and it's obviously not your fault. It happens at the worst time. No one wants to experience a kidney stone. Trust me, as someone who's had one. Again, I keep repeating this because there's so few times that I can relate to a fighter and what you go through, and this time I can actually relate because I went through it and it was absolute hell. The one that you had the first time, how long ago was that?
It was a while ago, man.
Okay.
It was yeah, it was a long while ago, and it's kind of funny. Like you kind of forget certain pains, like certain feelings, certain
Mhm.
triggers, and like so now I can look at it in hindsight and be like, oh, maybe that was that. Maybe that was the
Uh,
beginning of it to try to tell me something was going on.
do
But
you do you do you think that it was weight cut related? Dehydration, diet related. Why do you think this happened?
I don't know. But I don't cut weight, so
Okay.
it has nothing to do with weight cut. And I don't cut water. I'm always pretty hydrated, so that's not a situation. I think that it's just a lucky me. I won the lotto, and I have a body that picks them out. For example, I have 6 or 7 stones in my right kidney right now.
What?
I have 0 in my left. I don't know why that's the case. But I'm going to the doctor on Wednesday and going to a surgeon named um, Dr. Amy Cambeck in Indianapolis. And I believe it's Kimbeck, I believe. I'm going to look it up right now. As a matter of fact, as much as I despise social media, especially after a situation like this where everybody's calling me a pussy and I'm
Yeah.
such a punk and I'm a coward, whatever else, I was scrolling through it and a doctor named Bodo Knudson, Knudson, wrote me and was like, "Hey, there's one of the best kidney stone specialists in the world in Indianapolis." And so I followed him. He got back to me, and he ends up being an endourologist out of Ohio State University.
Wow.
And he puts me in touch with her. She calls me up today, and I'm getting in for surgery on Wednesday because they're like, "Look, this is a big deal, and we're going to take care of it."
Wow. So they're gonna go in and take the stones that you have in there now out.
Yes,
Where do
they're
they
going to do
go?
that on Wednesday morning.
Where do they go in from?
Straight to the pee hole, buddy.
Oh my lord! And how long? And,
But
and
dude, think about it. This
yes.
this thing just this kidney stone, this situation that came out of nowhere, just cost Bellator millions of dollars. Cost the fight world an incredible fight that everybody I really believe was everybody wanted to see, was really excited about and really hype. I owe the fans a fight. I owe Fedor a fight. Fedor and I owe the fans a fight. And I'm gonna get it taken care of, man. It sucks that I'm gonna have a metal rod stuffed in my pee hole to get this thing taken care of so it never happens again. But I can at least eliminate this from any kind of concern in anybody's eyes that it'll never come up again.
And do you go out when this happens? Like anesthesia, you're sleeping, you're not going to feel any of it.
Yeah, they're gonna put me out, and then they're gonna leave a catheter in for 2 to 10 days, depending on how long I need it in.
Wow. And do you have to be in the hospital for that amount of time as well?
No, no, I believe it's going to be an outpatient.
And now the next step would be, why is this happening, right? Like, why is it a diet thing? You want to find out why
Yeah,
you have,
so
right?
I believe they're gonna break them up with a laser, I believe, and then they're going to scoop them out. They're gonna retract them out,
Yeah.
and then they're gonna send them to the lab and do like a metabolic breakdown of what they're consisting of, or what they're made of, and then they can tell me why my body's doing what it's doing.
Now, you've had a lot of impressive moments in fighting in your athletic career, but to square off against Fedor, to do media and all this stuff while you're going through these pains, feeling these symptoms, how did you do that? How did you put on this brave face? How were you even? I went back to look at the weigh-ins to see if I could see any kind of sign of discomfort or pain, and you were just like happy as can be, flexing. How did you do that? How difficult was that?
Well, dude, the world nobody really cares how you feel as long as you put on a damn good show. And especially the guy I'm going to be punching in the face, if he sees any kind of sign of weakness in that situation, it's blood in the water for a shark. Or they'll see you as a beta cuck, and there's nothing that's going to happen there. So I'm going to put on the strongest show I can do, no matter what situation it is. And if I was going to fight, he was going to have no clue that something was wrong with my body. And then that's another thing too. Like, I'm not going to say anything about it. If I win or lose, you're just going to be that guy who has to eat it and be like, "Yeah, I put on a bad show. Sorry about you."
When they told you that it was officially off, the table, what did you do?
I apologize. Like I was like, dude, I'm so sorry, man. I can't believe this happened. I'm devastated, man. I'm really sorry. I know how much money they put into this. I know how much stock they put into it. I know that there was no counter programming. It was out. We were the only show in town. It was a massive, massive fight. And I dropped the ball. You know, it's just, it sucks. It's a feeling of absolute tremendous guilt. And then like what really sucks, man, is to see like every single douchebag on the planet that could possibly create any kind of something, writing something on Twitter like, "Oh, you coward, you didn't even try. You should have known months ahead of time." Like, dude, go fuck yourself. Like, are you for real? Like, how dare anybody ever like question my integrity or intent, or saying that I'm afraid to fight Fedor? Dude, come on, man. Like, that's madness. And everybody like who's never accomplished anything, some nerd who claimed he had some kind of athletic pedigree was like was talking about how all the things he's done and whatever else. I'm like, dude, yeah, right on. You're tougher than I am. Good for you, buddy. Whatever.
Did you
just tough, man?
Did you go to the fight?
No, dude, none at all. I had a good friend of mine who was a doctor and that was in town, and there was a bunch of my friends in town from out of state, from all over the country. So he was like, "Look, man," he's like, "Do me a favor." He's like, "Just come out with us. Let me keep an eye on you." He's like, "Just kind of." So I went out. And that's another thing too. I couldn't drink. I couldn't take any medicine, right? Because I was still trying to fight. So I couldn't take any painkillers throughout the week, or once they found out. And then I couldn't take any like Flomax. I couldn't take anything to help me go pee. So from the time we started getting IVs and trying to flush my system, like Friday, like trying to drink stuff because I was throwing up. So we're trying to get that stuff in my system. I couldn't pee at all. So I didn't pee for like 30 hours. So until I got my Flomax at 1 a.m. on Saturday or Sunday morning. So so that whole time I'm trying to drink water and trying to flush, but I'm not peeing anything. So I'm miserable. And he's like, "Look," he's like, "do me a favor, just come sit up on this post over here and just kind of let me keep an eye on you as we kind of all group together versus kind of being in a hotel room that's all hot and stuffy and musty from being in there for a week." So I kind of went and just sat, I posted up against what do you call it, like a wall in this restaurant that was right by the hotel, and that's it, man. I just chilled for a little bit and then I went home, and that's when I got the Flomax, and that's when I went home and I started peeing.
And then you passed it in the airport.
Yeah, the Dallas airport.
What was that like?
Hallelujah.
What was that feeling like?
It was like oh my God, that's so good. I'm so happy right now. Like,
at least
and then,
that.
you know, these tweets like picture didn't happen. Like I'm making it up still. I'll tweet a picture of my CAT scan, but it shows my balls in it.
But which is somewhat, you know, apropos because most people do believe that you have big cojones. So, you know, there's nothing new there, but I can understand why you would be hesitant to show such a photo.
Yeah. Well, it was a 4mm stone. That's what it was.
Holy smokes. At least you passed it before you step back foot in your house. At least that weight was lifted off your shoulders, right?
And I came, my lady did, she came by, cleaned the whole house up. It looks great. So my house is nice and clean.
Nice.
All my files were organized. Yeah. Nice. Good feeling.
How were Bellator officials? I mean, they were obviously very disappointed. Scott Coker said there's no way to slice this. I mean, this was a bad night for us. It couldn't have been anything but. When you saw them, were they putting on a happy face? Were they kind of a little rude? Like, how did they deal with the whole thing? Because you know they wanted you to fight. They promoted this thing. They wanted you to fight. Were they compassionate? Were they helpful? How was it going through this with them?
Dude, Bellator was absolutely fantastic. They spared no expense. As soon as they found out what was going on, they knew I wasn't feeling well, and they gave me the opportunity to. They didn't pull the plug. They were like, "Look, man, if you think you can nut this thing out as far as like the flu, and you think you'll feel better, then because sometimes it's just a bug, you know. Sometimes something just gets in your system, or you ate something and it doesn't feel well, or whatever. As long as you feel you're okay." And then they were wary of it to a certain extent. And then in the morning they called up and said, "How you feeling?" I said, "Look, man, this thing isn't. I didn't get much better at all, if at all." And I said, "Okay, we're going to the hospital," and that's what it was.
Were you surprised that Fedor didn't take another fight? Chael Sonnen threw his name in the hat. They looked at Ollie Thompson. In the end, he said no. You know, a couple hours notice. Did that surprise you?
You know, I think Fedor's game. He's proven his game. He's a legend, right? and he knows his name value. And I think that I am the sexiest name in Bellator for him to fight. And I think that everybody was really looking forward to it. But I think I'm the fight that he wants. I think I'm the reason why he came back. I think he likes my fighting style. I think it's exciting for him, and it's a challenge. And that's why I think he was interested in. So I think that's the reason why he said no.
Have you been rebooked already?
I have not been rebooked, but if Fedor wants to wait until May or June, if that's what his heart is, then that's cool. I'm not going to wait that long. I'm going to try to get in there and get some work.
Really?
So I'm asking Bellator to try to book me as soon as possible. If we can do that, I'll pass whatever kind of medicals I need to pass, and Bellator will take all the worries that they have to take. I understand it, and it's reasonable. So they'll do everything they have to do, and I'll get past, and hopefully I get in there as soon as possible. I've already been out for 7 months, right?
Sure.
8 months.
May, June, though, is, 4 max tops away. This is such a big deal. You don't want to wait?
No, I don't want to wait. I compete. I live to compete and to be a father. So for me, I'm going to be a dad all the time, but I don't do well sitting on the shelf. A Rolling Stone gathers no moss. So let me work, baby. Let me work.
And so
I'm not worried about losing. That's
sure.
not the thought on my mind. I feel like I'm better than I've ever been in my life, and y'all would have seen that. And I understand it's easy to say right now, but I'm pretty damn good. So.
And so your ideal situation, I guess, is fight in a month or two and then fight him and try to get 2 for the price of 1, basically.
Yes, I'm still in shape now. There's no reason to waste it. I busted my ass to get in shape, so let me capitalize on that, take advantage of it, and then as soon as I beat whoever I fight, then I go fight Fedor and then put hands on Fedor.
Is that fight on the table, though? I mean, if you want to wait, do you think that it's yours for the taking?
I believe Fedor wants to fight me. Yes.
Okay.
So I believe that fight is on the table. And when Fedor feels prepared, wants to come back, wants to sign a contract to fight whenever, I'm the name he's going to ask for to be on that contract, and I'm going to be there to sign it again. But this time I'll have no kidney stones.
Yeah, well, God willing. I couldn't help but notice, I remember looking at the weigh-in pictures, you look to be in amazing shape. I thought this was one of the better physiques that you've had. Is that accurate?
Dude, absolutely. So they say that heart rate is a tell of how good of shape you're in cardiovascularly. When I was at the hospital, my heart rate was in the mid 40s for the entire time. I kept setting the alarms off. So like I'm in great shape. I'm in fantastic shape. Like I worked with Cris as far as my nutrition for this kid.
Yeah.
I even did some strength and conditioning training. I couldn't feel any better than what I do right now. And it's a shame that just happened to happen during fight week. It just sucks. Like right now, I could fight 7 rounds right now if I wanted to. I feel fantastic.
Did you see Fedor at all afterwards?
No. That's one of the things that I texted the brass was, hey man, I really want to see Fedor. I want to apologize to him face to face as a man and tell him I'm sorry for this situation. And they said he was down with it. We just couldn't cross paths. We tried though, and then he invited me to breakfast the next day. At the hotel, but I was already on the way to the airport by that time, so I didn't get a chance. But we've been in touch though.
Yeah, well, because I was just wondering. I remember when Stefan Struve had to pull out, and how classy you were when you went to him in the locker room. I would expect nothing less from Fedor, but I was curious if with the roles reversed, if you were given the same kind of respect.
I was 100%. Fedor and his guys. Look at Mags, this cute little thing, isn't she? Fedor and his guys were incredibly cool. And they were like, look, Fedor understands 100%. He honors, and apparently he really admired and honored how hard I tried to get in and what I had to endure to still try to make it happen. And so he respected that a lot. And that's why I know I'll have a fight with him again. He respects it and he wants it.
Wow. What a story. My heart goes out to you, man. Gosh, I can't imagine what you were going through, so close to getting that fight. But class act as always, and pretty certain that the fight is going to happen and that they want to make the fight happen. And when there's a will, there's a way. Fedor wants to fight. I think everyone wants to see the fight. I think I said it, I thought it was the best main event that Bellator has ever put on paper. Who knows what happens, but heartbroken for you. And I appreciate you coming on and talking about it. The good news is you passed it. I hope everything goes well with this little procedure on Wednesday. Keep us posted on that, please. And stay healthy. Drink a lot of water. Drink a lot of fluid.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, right, for sure. Well, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it. And just as a heartfelt, I really want to apologize and say I'm sorry to everybody that spent money, that made change their plans, took off of work, whatever else. I am sincerely upset and devastated that it happened, and that I'm doing everything I can to make sure that no situation like this will ever happen again. I promise.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. All the best to you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, brother.
All right, there he is, Matt Mitrione stopping by. Great stuff from him. Unfortunate situation, but I give him a lot of credit for coming on and talking about it. No one more disappointed than him. I can assure you of that. Very happy to hear that he did pass that stone, because that is bad. That is bad stuff. It's painful. I wish that upon no man or woman. It could happen to men and women, by the way, which is a cruel thing. But yeah, I wish that upon no one. Okay, let us move along. Last guest of the day. Can't wait to talk to this man. He had a very busy, exciting, celebratory, maybe a little anxious weekend, but it all worked out well for Firas Zahabi. Not only did his brother Aiman win in his UFC debut last night in Halifax, one of his best friends, George St. Pierre, is back. Can't wait to talk to him. He's joining us on the phone right now. Firas, how are you?
Hey, Ariel, how are you?
A pleasure, as always, to have you on, Firas. Thank you for squeezing us in after your trip back home to Montreal. So let's talk about your brother. What was it like after all these years? You've cornered so many fighters in the UFC, but now it's your blood. Now it's your younger brother. To be, to be in the corner and to go through the whole process, the locker room, the walk, the arena. It's not a fighter. It's not a friend. This is your brother. What was that like for you?
It's nerve-wracking, of course. It's family and all, but I just like to focus on being in the right position at the right time. The technique, the game plan, etc., and that takes care of the rest. That gives me ease. It gives me comfort. Make sure everything's prepared and we're ready. And I'm so busy with that, I don't think of anything else.
Okay, so you weren't more nervous, more anxious because it was your brother involved?
Yeah. When the time came, yeah, but before that, I was just focused on preparation. I don't think about the nerves before that. I try to keep that out of my mind until the moment comes. And when the moment comes, it's too late to do anything about it. You're just going to be nervous,
Right. Were you happy with the performance? Were you happy with the fight?
Yeah, I think I was really happy he went 3 rounds. I think, it's the first time he does 3 rounds. I think he needed to break the ice in UFC and put in a 3-round fight for himself. I think it was a good learning experience. And I think he's going to grow from it. A fight like that, you learn so much. So I was really happy to see him do 3 rounds. That was the best thing I think could happen.
And what about him? I mean, did he, according to you, from what you saw, because you know him better than anyone, was he more nervous? Did you feel this was his 7th pro fight, but his UFC debut? Did you feel like he was a little more anxious than he was leading up to this fight?
No, not really. Maybe a little bit, but my brother's really he likes to fight, so he's not a nervous type of guy. He likes it. He enjoys it. He thrives with it. So he's a fighter. He loves that stuff. So it's not really something that he's nervous about. Like a normal nerves, but I don't think probably even less than most, I would say.
Before they announced the scorecards, did you think he had won the fight?
Oh yeah, of course. No doubt. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I felt he's the only one who really did damage with the strikes. I feel that. He got the closest to finishing, and he got the closest. I mean, he stunned Vieira in every round, and especially in the first and second. So, I mean, I felt that he did more than enough to win.
6-0 going into this fight, and he doesn't fight very frequently. Did you feel like he was ready for the UFC, or did this come a little sooner than you wanted?
Well, it's hard to get him fights, to be honest. It's not an easy thing. Every time, people hear his name, only guys with 20, 30 fights want to fight him. So, I mean, if we're going to get a fight like that, then he might as well do it in UFC, So right. That was the thought. Of course, 6 fights is not a lot of fights to get in UFC. It's not. So, I mean, the guy, he fought at over 20 fights, especially if you count his tough fights, he's probably got another 3 or 4 there. So, yeah, he's going to have to fight guys with more experience. It's just the way it is.
Now, would you like him to be a little more active?
I think, sometimes it's the chemistry between 2 fighters. My brother's a very active fighter. I think it was just maybe the chemistry between both of them. And Vieira, he's a very awkward guy. He's very, very awkward. He doesn't punch in a linear way. And sometimes when you box with guys who aren't in that mold, it's just kind of a weird chemistry between the 2.
And by the way, I wasn't criticizing his fight. I meant more active as a fighter, like fight more frequently.
Yeah, every 3-4 months, I think is a good time to take a fight, because if you do it more than that, it's hard to evolve between camps, especially a fighter with less than 10 fights. I think you should go slow and steady.
Do you think that there's going to be a desire to push him because of his last name, famous family, a little, quicker than maybe you would like? And are you the one who has to be, okay, a little strategic? I don't want to push him too fast. Yes, I think he's 29, right? Doesn't have that many fights. Let's take our time with him. Do you feel like there's going to be that kind of like tug of war going on?
I don't think so. I haven't experienced that, so I'm not worried about it. If it comes about, I'll handle it. I'll just let him know. I'll be honest with him. And if my brother's ready to fight and he's healthy and he feels in shape and he wants to do it, I'll let him do it.
Okay. And so, like I said, this was a very exciting few days for you, because not only did your brother make his debut and win, Georgia's back. And I also said that almost from like the time he walked away, you were the one saying that he was coming back. You were always the one who was the most confident saying he was coming back. So I'm guessing you're not surprised he's back.
I'm not surprised he's back. I'll be honest with you. I didn't think it would take this long to agree. I thought it was going to be pretty easy. He said he wants to come back and everything will be done. But there was some back and forth, and I'm happy. Like I'm not his manager. I'm his trainer, and I don't get into all the details about management with him because we're so busy training. When we're together, we're talking about training, and I was surprised that it took so long. I thought it was going to be a done deal quick. It took a lot longer than I thought. So that did surprise me.
Was there a point where you thought, man, maybe this isn't going to get done, and what a shame this is going to be? He's ready to come back, and a contract is stopping him from doing so?
No, I never thought. I always thought they would get. You know how deals are. Sometimes they take years. Sometimes it's a question of what the market's looking like. Is it shifting, et cetera? And when it's markets are always up and down. So when it's down or up, people have to make moves accordingly. And I think that's what's happening.
He's been active at the gym, right? He hasn't kind of gone away and disappeared. He's there quite regularly.
Yeah, he trains regularly, but of course he's not training like for a fight. He's training just to maintain and stay in shape. It's very different when you're in training camp. Of course, now there's another level of motivation. There's going to be another level of effort put into the training. So I'm looking forward to getting back into that beat with him.
Did you have a heart-to-heart with him and say, okay, why are we doing this now? It's been 3.5 years. You left on top. You're healthy. You're wealthy, as he puts it. What's the motivation? Like, did you have to know for yourself that he was coming back for the right reasons, that his head was in the game, that everything was, in order for him?
Well, Misha, the only right reason he needs is that he wants to do it. If he wants to do it, I don't feel that he should not do something he loves because he was the best at it. At one point in time, he was the best, unarguably. People always have that idea that you should leave on top and disappear, but then you're not doing what you love and you're living for other people. I think he should just do what he loves to do, and he doesn't have to work. He doesn't have to design his life around ego. Just do what he loves to do. It's an adventure for him. He loves to compete. He's been competing since he's a kid. Why deprive yourself of the experience of competing just because you're worried about people are going to think about you? I think he's a phenomenal athlete, and he's still got plenty of great performances in him. So if he feels like he wants to do it, I think he should do it. I don't think he should listen to anybody. And just do what he feels like doing.
Is it possible that the time off actually ends up being a blessing in the sense that now his body is really healed, his mind is healed? Is it possible that 3.5 years away at 35, he can be better than he was when we last saw him against Johnny Hendricks and Nick Diaz, Carlos Condit?
Yeah, I think so. Because the last 2-3 fights, I would say, George, I think his body height was pushing really, really too much. And I think we stressed him a little bit too much because he had torn the ACL twice. I think that was a warning sign that his body was just telling him, this is way too much. Because if you remember, after he tore his ACL, he tore it again about a year and a half later. So
yeah.
I think because he went from not getting injured to being an athlete that doesn't get injured often to being an athlete that has all these little tweaks and then the two ACL tears. I was just like, I think it's just too much. 6 months, then you start rehabbing. That's a long journey. ACL tear. ACL tear is a long journey to come back from, and he had to do it twice back to back. So I just thought it was a little bit too much on the body, and he needed something. He needs some break at least. But 3 years is a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. To be honest with you.
It sounds like they want him to get right back in the title picture. He wants that as well. Are you on board with that idea, or do you like the idea of maybe 3.5 years away? An Anderson Silva-like fight, kind of ease your way back into it, and then fight for the belt? What would you prefer?
As long as it's a 5-round fight. I can't really picture George doing a 3-round fight, to be honest. So okay. I'm not so worried about titles. I think he's done that. it would be great if there's a title for sure. But if it comes down to a good name that he likes and that's exciting and that's something the fans want to see, I would like it to be at least a main event 5 rounds.
Sure. And do you prefer him at 185 or 170?
I think he could do both. I think it's all about an intriguing matchup. You know, I don't think George is trying to get the title and hold it for another 3-4 years. I don't think that's what he has in mind. I think he just wants awesome fights. He wants to book awesome fights. And if he gets a title, yeah, then he'll have that pressure of defending it, coming back. And so I don't know how he feels about that. You know, I'd have to ask him, because it's something, when you win a title, you can't just really walk away. You can't just say, yeah, thanks for the title and leave. You know, there's going to be a lot of social pressure to defend your title. And of course, you're going to get pulled into that world again. And then does he really want to go back to that lifestyle? You know, that's something he has to decide for himself. And I think he's 50-50 on it, to be honest with you. Because when you're a champion, you know, especially George, all he'll do 24 hours a day is prepare for his next fight immediately after he wins a title or whatnot. You know, that's just the kind of guy he is. So does he want to go back to living that type of lifestyle? You know, very disciplined and always training around the clock and always, you know, getting ready every which way. So, I mean, it's just it's a lot of energy and time that he has to sacrifice if he wants to do that.
So if George comes to you today and says, okay, Firas, I'm leaving it in your hands, who do you want me to fight upon returning? What do you say? What's your answer? What's your ideal scenario?
My ideal scenario, I don't know if it's still up for grabs or anything, but I was really happy when there was buzzing of Bisping or McGregor. I thought those were 2 epic fights, you know, two epic fights. One, he would go a little lower, and one, he would have to go a little higher. Those are really, really intriguing fights. There's, you know, of course, Tyrone Woodley, he's a champion, et cetera. But I mean, he has his fight with Wonderboy. And if Wonderboy wins, he's gonna have a trilogy. And of course, we don't want to fight with Wonderboy. We go way back together. So I mean, the welterweight title, I think, is not really something he's thinking about right now because of the landscape as it is right now. But there's always the 180 fight, the 185-pound belt, and of course, McGregor's such a megastar.
Yeah.
That if you put those 2 in a main event, I don't think, you know, anybody in the world wouldn't watch. I think even non-MMA fans would want to watch. But again, I don't make the matchups. I don't do the managing. I'm just talking as a trainer right now.
As you know right now, does he have a fight? Does he have an opponent?
No, I don't think we're there yet. Now it's just that they've agreed on the terms.
Yeah.
They did, you know, previously they couldn't agree on terms. Now they've agreed on terms. That's not an issue anymore. The next step, I imagine, is a date in place and an opponent.
And do you feel comfortable with him fighting below 170?
I think it would have to be a catch weight.
Yeah.
I think it would have to be a catch weight. Again, you know, I like to get him back in the gym and do a test cut and explore that a bit. But, you know, back in the day when he was, you know, training around the clock, I believe we could have got him down to 155 for 1 or 2 fights.
Wow.
I really believe we could have done that. Yeah.
Wow.
You know, maybe not for 10 fights in a row, but like
Sure.
Kenny did. Remember Kenny Florian? He dipped down to 145, had some very intriguing fights, did a world title fight at 145. I don't think he could have done it 10 times, but it made for an interesting matchups. And we put the sacrifice in, we put the time, and he was able to do it. I think George could have done the same briefly.
Do you expect him to return around the 3rd quarter, September, October time? Is that what you're expecting?
I honestly have no idea.
Okay.
I honestly have no idea when he will come back. I'm just happy to hear that they have a deal in place and it's now a possibility. Of course, there's a USADA testing. Don't forget. So he's at least 4 months out.
Yeah.
At least.
Because he left the testing, right? Didn't he leave the testing and now he has to go back in?
Yeah, because they weren't coming to terms, so there's no point in going about that. But now that they're coming to terms, he's not gonna accept any type of what's it called, exemption. You know how George is. Of course, he wants to do everything by the book. And he's going to have to do the 4 months of testing before he gets back into the pool.
By the way, when did you find out that he was officially back?
I got a text with him a while ago. I don't want to say the date because
Okay.
I don't know if that's released it out, but I got a text from him a while back.
Okay, and were you, like, did you guys celebrate? Like, what was your reaction? You were kind of like, yeah, I knew this. I've been saying this for 3 years. What took you so long?
We haven't celebrated actually yet, but we have a dinner planned soon, so we're going to be hanging out soon.
And we just had Freddie Roach on the show. He kind of helped get this deal done. Does this surprise you that it took for Freddie to sit down with Dana White to make this happen?
Freddie's a powerful guy, man. Let me tell you, Freddie's a very powerful guy. He's a gangster, Freddie.
Yes, he is.
So when Freddie Roach calls, people answer the phone. So no, I wasn't surprised he can help us get it done. Not at all.
He told us that he plans on cornering George. It'll be his first UFC fight that he corners. Is the first you hear of this? And if so or not,
No, not at all. We've talked about it many times. I get along with Freddie very well. We've worked together a few times, and I love the guy. I think he's great. It would be awesome to have him.
So you're on board with this?
Yeah, of course. It'd be great. We love all working together, so it's fantastic.
And for your business, like for TriStar, for you, for Canadian MMA, Quebec MMA, how big of a deal is this? Do you feel like there's a trickle-down effect, that there's more interest, that just him coming back leads to, this kind of resurgence? Because it did feel for a minute, we've talked about this, where there were not a lot of prospects coming out. Now we're starting to see a lot more. Gavin Tucker was great, your brother, etc. Do you feel like George will now re-spark the market to where it was a few years back because he's such a big star?
I think so. I think it will definitely help because, the UFC will come back to Montreal, give a lot of fighters more motivation. But the scene has started to be rebuilt here already in Quebec. So we're already seeing, more and more fighters come in. The gyms are always busy. I mean, there's always fights. We have plenty of dates booked, etc. So it's busy. It's still busy. But, of course, with George, it's just crazy busy. It becomes ridiculously busy.
I know he's back, but how long do you think he fights for? Do you think he fights till his 40s now because of the break? Did he add some more time? Has he talked about this to you?
I don't. It's hard to say. I think he's going to stop when it's not fun anymore.
Okay.
But he's never going to stop training, and you never know how fights go. It's always one fight at a time, And sometimes you could be so dominant, and things get boring, and then sometimes it's not going well, and things don't feel they're not fun anymore. You never know what can happen with a fighter, So it's really more. George's mind, the way it works, is one fight at a time type of guy. He's a one fight at a time type of guy.
Okay.
And I think that makes the most sense because fighting, you never know what's going to happen.
And just a couple more things before I let you go. What's going on with Rory? He was on the show last week, and he says he's spending some time in BC, and he's going to figure things out. Is he kind of splitting his time now with the gym and his old team in British Columbia?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's going to be going back and forth. I'm not sure exactly. He's been kind of laying low recently, recovering. His nose has been healing. He wants to let it heal once and for all. He sent me a text telling me he's going to be filing daily. So, we're going to be getting back on the horse very soon, and we'll see how he wants to go about it.
But he's still a part of the team?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Just checking. And Sage Northcutt, he showed up for a little bit. He's no longer part of the team, right?
No, he's not with us, no.
And then you had Mickey Gall show up. Is he a part of the team now?
Yeah. Yeah, Mickey's yes, he's definitely part of the team.
So is he in Montreal now?
No, he's not in Montreal now. He just finished fighting, right? About a little over a month ago. So he's still training back home, and he's got his coaches there. He's planning a visit sometime soon, and he comes back and forth.
Okay.
He goes back and forth like many fighters.
But I feel like something, like it feels all of a sudden, and I hope you take this as a compliment, like TriStar is blowing up again. I see all these people from all over the world coming. The Europeans are coming. The big, I just feel like there's something going on. This great series that the Fight Network put on with you and the fighters and your family and Joe Duffy, Joanne Caldwell, the dorm. It just feels like there's something. There's a spark. Your brother. Am I right? Are you sharing this excitement that I'm feeling about the gym as well?
Yeah, man. I don't feel the spark really died ever. So
okay, fair enough.
Been to the gym, and I think things fluctuate. It's normal. I don't really worry about those kind of things. I just do my best as a coach, and the fighters do their best as fighters, and things tend to work out.
Okay. Last question for you, Firas. Who right now in the gym, not fighting in the UFC, not fighting major promotion, are you really excited about? Is there a name, a guy, a girl, 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, kind of under the radar that is really getting you excited that maybe the next big thing? Is there someone that comes to mind?
Yeah, we have Mandel Nalo. I think he's 6-0 right now. And we have Louis Sanadakis. I think he's 5-1 right now, or 6-1, I believe. And those two are really talented kids. I think you're going to see them in the UFC very shortly.
All right. Firas, congratulations to you and your brother, and congrats on George's return. I'm looking forward to seeing you back there, cornering him, Freddie Roach. Wow, what a moment. And we can do this fight. Let's make this fight. Let's push to make it at the Big O. Could you imagine the Big O in Montreal? We get off P9, we take the metro to P9, and we're back there, 60,000 people, George versus... Wouldn't it be great back in Montreal? We need the...
great picture.
Right?
Yep, it would be great.
We'll go back home. We'll get some orange julep. We'll get a hot dog. It'll be great. Go back to Carey Square. What a scene. I love it. Firas, I appreciate it very much. Thank you for squeezing us in, and congrats again.
All right, man. Thank you.
All right, there he is, Firas Zahabi. Great stuff. What a time for Montreal MMA. What a time for Quebec MMA. What a time. There it is. Boom, boom, boom. for Canadian MMA. All right. Jam-packed show, so much going on. Lest we forget New York Rick before we close out the week. Mr. New York Rick, are you there?
I'm here.
There
Lest
he
we
is.
forget.
Lest we forget. And he's all lit up. Do we like it better? Last week, New York Rick was moping. He was like, "Oh, it was too dark. People don't like me anymore. They're trying to phase me out. They're trying to darken me. They're not accentuating my good looks, my facial hair."
That's true.
Are you happier with it now?
I mean, I think, we'll let the people decide that, but the good looks are a constant.
Yeah. Okay, we have a lot to discuss here before we say goodbye. Weigh in on St. Pierre's return. He's back, great. But the opponent, still very much in the air. Still very much unknown where he's going to fight in terms of division, when he's going to fight, against who, et cetera, et cetera. You're Sean Shelby. You're Dana White. You're the matchmaker. What's the scenario?
If I can convince Conor McGregor to do it, that's probably what I would do.
That's the first one you're going after?
Yeah.
I got to tell you, that one doesn't, I mean, it's cool and all, but
wait a minute.
155 or, I don't know. I'd rather him fight someone in the 170, 185. I kind of feel
are we doing this to make money, or are we doing this to
you don't think George,
dick around and
you don't think George versus anyone makes money at this point?
I think George versus Conor makes more money.
Yeah, I think Conor versus anyone makes money. So why not? Why not? It's kind of like UFC 200 and UFC 202. Why put them together when you can split them up and maybe get $2 million buy pay-per-views?
Yeah, you're risking two different events. You put them together, it's going to be magic.
Who do you pick in that fight?
Yeah, I literally have no idea. It's impossible to say until I see George back in the cage for the first time.
Are you one of those who says, I didn't want to see him back, why ruin your legacy, or are you happy he's back?
I think his legacy is firmly established.
Yeah.
I'm not, George wasn't one of those guys that I was dying to see back. In fact, to be honest, like most, the guys at the point in his career that George is, are not guys I'm dying to see back in general. He had a good exit right off into the sunset and do that. But he's not one of the guys who I'm hesitant to see back. He's not one of the guys who I'm thinking this is going to go disastrously, because he went out as a champion. He's still, I'm sure, a very, very good fighter. But I wasn't longing to see GSP back. I'll say it that way.
Wow.
There's nothing left for him to prove. There's not a single thing he hasn't done at welterweight. There's not a single thing he hasn't done for the history of the sport, for his legacy.
Debbie Downer.
There's nothing.
What about going up to 185?
Doesn't mean anything anymore. The time he himself long missed that time when going up to 185 and fighting the champion.
You don't think
against Anderson Silva meant something? Now it means nothing.
You don't think
beating Michael Bisping means nothing?
Forget about Bisping. What about the intrigue just surrounding his return, the layoff? Can he get back to where he was? Maybe even better. Towards the end, he was beat up. He was clearly burnt out. There's some intrigue there. And what about just the idea of having a big star back?
Now that he's back, I'm not saying I'm not intrigued by it, but what I'm saying is this wasn't something. I'm much more interested in Conor McGregor and his next fight than I am in GSP's next fight.
Why does it have to be about Conor? Why can't they just be two separate things?
Everything's about Conor.
Jeez. That's, to me, like...
If it ain't macking, it ain't stacking.
It's like... Do you agree with me that you can make a very strong case he's the greatest of all time?
Completely agree with you. He's not my greatest of all time, but I completely agree that if somebody said you couldn't make a case, they'd be absolutely wrong.
Who's the greatest of all time?
Anderson Silva, in my opinion.
Wow.
And it's getting harder and harder to justify with time removed, but I'd say there was a point that I would have said John Jones and not hesitated to say
I
it.
feel like that was your answer back in the day.
Yeah, it's getting harder. It's getting harder at this point. It's very rare for me to say somebody sitting out hurts their legacy. I don't feel George St. Pierre's legacy has been impacted at all.
No.
By the time he took off, but John Jones, I think, is hurting himself by not being in the cage, because everybody knows he's still one of the best, if not the best, and everybody still knows he's a viable champion. It's hurting his legacy. It's hurting his legacy. So I'll say Anderson Silva, But John Jones, if he, at the moment he steps back in the cage, if he can, defeat Daniel Cormier or whoever that opponent is, he will be back on top.
What excites me so much about the return of George is that he has developed into one of the most fascinating people in the sport. Remember early on, he was kind of a very blah, vanilla interview. And then all of a sudden he became like this unbelievable interview, and he was spitting fire, and he was, really telling it like it is. And now, the association stuff, his take on drug testing and the state of the sport, I think he's just kind of matured and been, he's like a little more comfortable as far as speaking English and doing interviews. And I'm curious to see how he is on the big stage as an active fighter with this mentality. Does he use, the gift of being a fighter now, the platform, to his advantage to speak up more about things? Because remember, people were like, well, why didn't you talk about anti-doping when you were an active fighter? Why did you really push for it afterwards? Well, does he continue this as one of the biggest stars in the sport, active stars, now that he's back?
Yeah, and I think the transition, there's certain cases where somebody gets more comfortable and starts speaking, and it's a slower progression. I think John Jones is a perfect example of this, where there was a time where John Jones was one way, then he kind of transitioned to a new thing, and the progression was trackable and quite slow. George St. Pierre, I think it happened almost overnight. He was very much a company guy. He didn't want to get out of line. He didn't want to step on anybody's toes. He didn't want to ruin business for anybody, and stayed in that box. Stepped away from the sport, had different opinions on what was happening in the sport, became vocal seemingly overnight, got the attention for it, and has consistently maintained that. But I don't think there was as much of a progression or a transition. I think this is the George we've got, and I think this George is here to stay. I don't see any retreat, in the coming months and years as he is an active fighter. I think he will remain exactly the same kind of mouthpiece that he has been recently, with the AAA and all that stuff. I don't see him backtracking in any significant way from any of that. I think this is the George that we have for good.
Well, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm very excited.
Oh.
I'm very excited about all of this. Let's play a quick game of true or false, okay? True or false? True or false? Derek Lewis crossed the line with his post-fight interview.
What? Clarify, what line would that be?
Yeah, the line of appropriate, inappropriate. Live television, big-time company, WME, Fox Sports 1, blah, blah, blah. Domestic violence, Ronda Rousey comment.
Yeah, I mean, the domestic violence thing, I have a hard time siding with protecting somebody who is...
Well, I mean, he wasn't actually, charged
certainly
with anything.
Accused,
yes, accusation.
I'd be hard-pressed to say that's...
Look, here's the question. When you were sitting there, you were like, that was hilarious, that was entertaining, but maybe it was in poor taste. Or are you saying hogwash? That was freaking awesome. That was Derek Lewis, deadpan, nonchalant, talking about pooing and Ronda and all this stuff.
I think it's something we can kind of set aside. It's fine.
You enjoyed it. Did you enjoy it?
I wouldn't say I enjoyed it.
I'm
not like...
You didn't think that was entertaining?
I thought it was entertaining, but I'm not... I wasn't gripped. I wasn't. It didn't get me thinking.
What does excite you? Holy smokes! What's going on? I mean, nothing's exciting you right now. You're giving me
Return
nothing.
of John Jones would get me up. That's for sure.
All right. It's not happening right now. It's happening in like 5 months. Hopefully,
couldn't come soon enough. No, look, it's momentary. It's fleeting. Was it a great post-fight interview in terms of getting people talking? 100%. I've said it this year. Derek Lewis was and I said it at the end of last year as well. Derek Lewis was my favorite new kind of MMA hour addition. He consistently brings it. He's very funny. His kind of
the fake
he
belt,
undersells his own stuff. He doesn't really laugh along with it. He kind of just says it in a very wry way, and
he's a breath.
Gets it out.
Air.
Yeah, he's great. But it was just it wasn't there was nothing deeper to it. It was very surface. It was funny. It was great. But I think time to move on from it.
Okay, all right. I didn't get your thoughts.
Do I think it crossed the line? I don't think it crossed the line. Right. This is the fight game. People have said significantly worse things than this. Really not getting my blood boiled.
True or false? Derek Lewis will be a UFC champion one day.
Putting me on the spot there.
Yeah, it's true or false. That's the game.
False.
False. True or false? UFC should cut Travis Brown.
Also false. I think he looked better than he has
Yeah, I
looked
agree.
in the last couple of fights.
First round. He had the body shots. It was clear.
Yeah, but that's I mean,
Do you think he was playing possum?
no, kind of a little bit. I think he may have been playing it up a little more, but clearly he was affected. Travis Brown is still a dangerous guy, and in that division, you're running low on people you could say that about. I think Travis Brown should not be cut.
True or false? Johnny Hendricks is back.
Yeah, I'd pump the brakes on that.
You weren't impressed.
No, I was impressed. I'm gonna say true, but I don't know what back is kind of a little bit vague. I think the not having to do the cut to 170 will do wonders for him.
Yeah.
If that's what we consider back, if not having to kill yourself to make 170 is back, quote unquote, I don't think he demonstrated any, new skills or anything that, I didn't think Johnny Hendricks was capable of. There was a moment there where he was, a real dominant force at 170. So I would say back in the sense that it's good to see a healthy, competitive Johnny Hendricks for sure.
True or false? UFC should cut ties with Hector Lombard.
He's on a rough skid. I'll say false because he puts on exciting fights. I think I would hate to see. He's been in tough matchups with guys who are still, very, very good and at the top of this division. I'll say no. I like Lombard fights. Whether he wins or loses. Recently, it's been losing. He's in an exciting fight. I like Lombard.
True or false? Sarah McMahon will fight for a belt again.
True. Absolutely true. She looks fantastic.
Great.
Yeah.
It's nice to see.
No debate there. She will get another title shot sooner rather than later.
True or false? Saturday night was the worst night in Bellator history.
Oh man. Off the top of my head, I'm struggling to think of. I don't often make a note of the worst nights in promotional history. So,
well, I mean, you could go back to the Dada fight. Dada against Kimbo.
No, because I feel like that was ultimately very successful for them.
Well, yes, it was, but I mean, someone almost died. But you can also say, like, you promoted an event.
They promoted a successful event. I mean, it really depends on who. I mean, it's tough and it's interesting that we have to kind of qualify this. I will say not the worst night. Ultimately, it's out of their control. I don't think anybody's going to, judge them too much. I wonder. What I really wonder about is how many people actually, got those refunds in.
Yeah.
Because you have to get it before the event.
Gonna find out.
That will be.
There wasn't a lot of time.
At that
point, you're already committed. It's not like it's the night before. At that point, you bought the ticket, you made the trip, whatever. You're already committed to going to the event.
Yeah, that will be the interesting factor on whether I think, overall we can say success or failure. That the TV ratings will be in, but probably not the worst.
But when you couple what happened in the main event or no main event with the fact that Thompson gets knocked out, Koscheck gets knocked out, it just didn't feel like their night.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So I'm inclined to agree, but I'm not. None others are really coming to mind. Certainly, Kimbo and Dada was not the way you want your main event to go. It was very sloppy. But I'm struggling to think of others, so I'm inclined to lean that way. Yeah,
it's a lesson. Never go up against the best night.
You love the Saturday night.
The Saturday night is just the best. I mean, this one was kind of
it
bad.
Was
as
kind
far
of
as
a
the
bad Saturday night.
I mean, KP, of course, winning the skills. We all knew he'd win the skills. Your guy Kyrie sort of choking in the
skills contest, the premier event.
Completely. I mean, it was there for the taking, and he chokes.
I saw a funny meme where they raised a banner in the garden.
Oh, it's all so funny. It's all fun and games. Almost got the MVP in the rookie whatever game you want to call it.
Another accolade to add to
your guy kind of dropping the ball, so to speak, maybe quite literally in the 3-point, couldn't even get it done in overtime. You can't go against that. I mean,
I know the skills competition. The one we look forward to.
He smoked Gordon Hayward, and I mean, hit it in his eye first shot. Yeah, every time got it perfect through the thing. That thing
made a pass as a basketball player.
Perfect. No one else got it perfect. No one else. How about that? No one else.
Gordon Hayward. Wow.
Great hair.
Mm.
What do you mean? All-star Gordon Hayward.
All-star Gordon. Wow.
He is an all-star.
Yeah.
Did you not know that?
The cream of the crop, clearly.
You don't think Gordon Hayward's good? Are you kidding me?
Is this about to be like...
I would take Gordon Hayward in a second.
Are they about to pick this up on the other SB Nation blogs that I'm about to slam?
New York Rick.
No, Gordon Hayward is a great opponent. I'm sure that Chris Tapps is very proud to have that skill.
Yeah, he is. He is. True or false? Bellator should rebook Mitrione Fedor.
100% true.
That's the fight.
That's the fight.
Are you surprised to hear him say that he wants to fight someone else before?
No, because he's got to. I think Mitrione realizes, how long a fighting career lasts. Wants to get those fights in. Wants to make his money. And I don't think a win or a loss really compromises the fight with Fedor for Mitrione. Is there somebody else currently in Bellator that we'd look to say that person is better or worse than Mitrione? Even with a loss, I'm struggling to think of somebody who I might say, no, this needs to be the next opponent for Fedor. So if I'm Mitrione, I'd take another fight as well.
True or false? The damage is already done for Cris Cyborg.
I think the way it's been presented and people going out of their way to exonerate her, I'm not sure. To be honest, and Cyborg herself said, the damage is kind of done. It's already been done. The people who are going to say something. The first time she tested positive, that did damage that she went a long way to correct in the time since, and I think that may have kind of been compounded. People may have been thinking, well, now clearly something was happening all along. I think that a good job has been done to kind of make sure that she's been exonerated, but I think this comes down to a question of less specific about Cris Cyborg, who I think the answer is yes, I think there has been some damage done, but I think it's more about let's not have these things be released until we know the full story.
Yeah, of course.
It's not fair. It's really not fair.
I saw a video. Remember there was a video of Dana White standing outside in New York, TMZ interview.
Yeah.
The day this came out, and he's like, oh, maybe now we know why. And I was like, wow, how can you say this,
Yeah. It's not fair. I think the damage is done in the sense that, now people will point to this. But the people who wanted to believe that about Cyborg already believe that. No minds were changed or are now reversed. I think people kind of fell where they fell on Cris Cyborg over the course of her career. And I don't think anybody who didn't believe she was cheating is now going to come out and say, see, I told you so. And anybody who did believe she was cheating is going to go, well, now I believe that she's not cheating. I think the camps are have already been established in her case. Now, the sponsor thing, that's an interesting kind of wrinkle to it.
Yeah.
And that's bad. That's bad. And something needs to change on that front.
True or false, Holly Holm versus Germaine de Randamie 2 is the fight to make over Germaine de Randamie versus Cris Cyborg?
Absolutely false.
Oh.
You? How do you feel?
I mean, I want to see Cyborg fight for a UFC belt,
It's that division is Cyborg's division.
Also, I like the idea of having her fight in Rio.
False. Could not be more false.
Why?
We need to see Cyborg versus de Randamie.
Oh, okay.
Not Holm versus de Randamie. False.
What's your level of interest in seeing David Branch back?
Interested. I think he could really, if he's able to get a little bit of momentum, I think he could really make a strong kind of push for himself. I think he'll be able to capitalize on the fact that he was a 2-division champion with WSOF and say, I was this good all along. I didn't get a fair shake. Now I'm here to kind of prove that.
Yeah.
If he can get some momentum. Now, if he comes back and doesn't look good in his UFC debut, that will go out the window very quickly, and I think people will lose interest. But if he can string together a few in a row against, matchups that make sense for him.
Like a Robert Whitaker. I want to see him against. I want to see how good he is now.
I think he'll be able to capitalize on that. So I'm interested. I'm intrigued.
Other news and notes. Bubba Jenkins has left Bellator, released, And there's a lot of articles on our site about this. He has been paid everything that he claims he was owed, so that's good news.
Great.
Patrick Cote is fighting Thiago Alves at 170 in Buffalo. Like
Banger.
that fight.
Yep.
Gunnar Nelson is fighting Alan Jouban. So Alan Jouban didn't get the RDA fight, but this is happening in London and helps out that card. I like it. You?
I like it. I'll be there.
Oh yeah, you'll be there. Did you buy tickets?
I'm kind of waiting. We'll see.
Okay. Kyoji Horiguchi has signed with Ryzen.
Don't understand what is happening.
7-1 in the UFC. Lone loss against Demetrius Johnson for that UFC flyweight title in Montreal, April of 2015. And he was offered a new deal. Chose to go sign with Ryzen. I reported this earlier. He has his debut fight set. You can check it out at MMAfighting.com, April 16th. Big mistake?
Yes. Last week you asked me about who was it? Serkinov. You said,
Serkinov.
big mistake. I said, no, not a big mistake.
Horiguchi, bigger mistake.
Huge mistake. Division.
You need those guys.
Really needs an influx of talent, and I would say he's closer to title contention, having already fought for the title, but closer to staying at that top than Serkinov is in light heavyweight. Don't understand it. Really don't understand why.
Well, they offered him a deal. He didn't like the deal.
Yeah, but
GDP.
Understand why he would look for a better option. Don't understand why they wouldn't try harder to keep him. Or
GDP.
if that's the case, then maybe it's time to fold up this division. If you're not gonna keep the best talent available in it, what is the point? Who can you give Demetrius Johnson to face if you're not going to keep talent like Horiguchi?
I'm pretty sure I've said this before. The idea of testing the market is no longer really a thing. UFC is letting most contracts expire, and then they are going to assess. And I like the fact that fighters have options. Bellator, Ryzen. I wish there were more. There aren't that many. Like this idea that there's free agency isn't really 100% true. Like there's not exactly 1,000. Okay, forget about 1,000. 30 options like in other sports. In other sports, you have 30 options, 32 options. Fighters don't have that. They got three or four.
I disagree because when you have those 32 options, they're limited by cap space. They're limited by market.
Sure.
The same way a regional promotion is limited by their available money. So I think that
my point is get used to this. Like we can't get all up in arms. This is going to keep happening. Nikita Krylov offered a new deal, said no, decided to go elsewhere. This is going to happen.
I don't think the idea of people leaving is what's interesting here. People have gone, other fighters have gone to Bellator previous to this. That I don't think that that's an interesting story. I think that's already worn. We've known this. What's interesting is not paying premium dollar to keep your talent. There's a difference between letting somebody walk and simply not coming to the table. And I think a guy like Horiguchi, that says something different than letting some of the other guys go to Bellator. That says something different to me.
Speaking of the Buffalo event, April 8th, tickets are going really, really well. Sales phenomenally well. They're expecting to sell out, at least as of now. And that means, by the way, that Daniel Cormier and Anthony Rumble Johnson have close to sold out 2 arenas 99 miles apart, 4 months apart. I know it's not just them, but that's a nice little feather in their cap, I think. Bigger deal.
Those two are big.
Phil Nova retiring or Brock Lesnar retiring? Bigger surprise?
Come on. Next question.
There's some new USADA rules. So they've modified this a little bit.
Yep.
If you were released and coming back, it's just 4 months. If you were retired and coming back, it's 6 months.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of other rules. They're cleaning it up. Do you like this? Do you like? I mean, that rule in particular, that was the big one.
That rule, whatever. I think what's important is that we are analyzing this and trying to figure out a better system. That's all I care about. 4 months, 6 months, really irrelevant. Whatever the rules are, the rules are. But I think the fact that this is being looked at and trying to figure out better ways to make it work is what's good, and couldn't be happier about that.
Let's do the same with the Reebok kits too, right? Oh, there I am. Look at that profile. I haven't seen that shot all day.
Oh, wow.
Well, it kind of hit me right in the face. I was like, whoa, didn't expect to see that. That's schnozola. What do these men have in common, okay?
Yeah, hit me.
Seth Pazinski.
Okay.
Meta Baghdad. Justin Edwards. Tom Galicchio. Eddie Gordon, Hader Hassan, James Krause, Julian Lane, Diego Lima, Ramsey Nijum, Gilbert Smith, Joe Stevenson, Jesse Taylor, Hector Urbina. What do they have in common?
They are the guest list for your birthday party this year.
No, they're next week's guest list for this show.
Wow.
No, honestly. Do you know? You do.
Yeah, they're the tough competitors.
Buying or selling this cast?
No, when you said no really, I thought you were saying no really. They are the list of guests for next week's show because that would have been amazing.
Would it have been?
Yeah, I mean
it's a lot of
juggling all
guests.
those guys, maybe
60.
have them in studio.
Yeah, imagine.
Buying or selling, tough. I don't care. Come on, stop. Wow, that one got you, huh? He's gonna spit it.
You just completely dismissed it.
Yeah,
like it was no thing.
No, it is
not a single
no
one.
Thing.
What are they fighting for? That's what I want to know. Are they fighting for the opportunity to fight on the prelims?
No.
Fight past prelims?
No, but I think there's quite a bit of money on the line.
Yeah, 6-figure contract.
No, stop.
100,000.
No, it's
spread
more.
out over 8 fights.
Like
what is? I don't understand what's at stake here. The first time they did it, tough 4 title shot. Okay,
yeah,
I know they're not getting title.
That makes sense.
What is at stake here? Like, what is James Krause fighting for? He's the lone UFC guy.
Yeah,
right?
he's the signed active fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm more intrigued for storylines coming out of it once it's all over. I have no interest in watching it once it's all over, and everything shakes out and we learn what the hell's happening. Great. I'm interested in what happens from there, but I really there's nothing they can do to Tough to get me to come back.
All right.
I would have been more interested if they sold this as a completely different show and figured out a new way to frame it and put it on Fight Pass.
Of course.
Come back, yeah. But
the big story with Tough is not that it's back. Does it survive the next TV deal? Because like this is part of a menu, right? The UFC sells this package, and if this one still gets 300, 400,000 viewers, this is great. But will the new deal include Tough?
If the numbers make sense, then yeah, it's an asset. I don't know, depending on who they're selling it to, if they care about the 300 or 400 K.
Could use a break, a little reset.
I think so, but or maybe it lives exclusively on Fight Pass, and that's the way you get it for the people who still want it.
It's a relatively quiet weekend coming up. Bellator's back. They're in Belfast, and a bit of breaking news: the main event was supposed to be Lee McGeary, who I saw in Brooklyn, by the way, the former light heavyweight champion. Seemed very excited to return, fighting in Belfast against Chris Fields of SBG fame. But our friends at Severe MMA have reported that Chris Fields is out of the fight, has a neck injury. So Vladimir Filipovich, don't believe there's any relation to the great Mirko Filipovich, will be replacing Mr. Fields, which is a bummer because Fields fighting out of Ireland.
Yeah.
I know this is Northern Ireland, but that is a bit of a bummer. There is a BAMA portion of the card, and that is headlined by Northern Ireland's Norman Park, which is great, versus Paul Redmond. So that's nice, but a bit of a blow to that card coming up. Otherwise, it's relatively quiet heading into UFC 209.
Glory, Friday.
Glory's back. Who's
Glory's
fighting?
back. Todd Grisham.
Todd Grisham, the new voice, with my guy Joseph Valtellini.
Bazooka Joe.
Canada's own.
Yeah, it's this Friday, ESPN 3, Chicago. We're heading out to Chicago.
Now, are we talking Chicago proper, or are we talking like fake Chicago, Hoffman Estates?
We are in the Sears Center in Hoffman Estates.
There we go.
Don't you dare.
No one does a better job of kind of putting out a fake city than Glory. Like, here we are, Glory Los Angeles, but they're really in Bakersfield, California.
I'll have you know, Glory 37, the last event, Los Angeles, downtown, across from the Staples Center. Real deal.
What was 36?
Los Angeles. 36 was Collision, baby, out in Germany.
Germany. What was 35?
35 was Nice.
You can't even. You asked me to name any UFC pay-per-view, and you can't even remember 3. Nice. Okay.
34 Denver, in Denver.
Was it actually Denver?
Yeah.
Or was
so
it
now
Bloomfield? Was it Bloomfield?
No, it was Denver.
Actual Denver.
Denver.
33.
33 was New Jersey, and it was in New Jersey. Damn, you're not doing well on this.
You know what I'm saying, though.
I know. I understand what you're saying. We are in Hoffman Estates, but it's a close trip. It's going to be a good card.
I like Hoffman Estates. Great place.
Yeah, it's going to be a good card. With Todd on the call.
Todd is great.
Our new favorite.
I apologize for those who wanted to hear from him. We'll get him on again soon. He had some travel issues, broken engine, flight, and so we wish him well this Friday. And I say congratulations to him. I thought he did a great job last night.
Yeah. We had a question about that.
Yeah, I thought he did great.
Asking how he did. I thought so as well. But I knew, I mean, you know, he's been on the call for Glory quite a bit already. So Todd is a pro's pro.
Glory 30, Los Angeles. In Ontario, California. Yes, close. Ontario, close. Anything else before we go?
Yeah.
Oh, we're playing this game again?
Yeah, we're playing this game again.
I love this. This was a big hit.
This is a big hit.
I think this could be its own show.
Where he fight at. You ready?
Okay, here we go.
UFC. No, even I know this one. UFC 123.
This is too easy. Why are you giving me easy ones then? Of course,
this is the next progression.
Auburn Hills, headlined by Rampage Jackson versus Lito Machida.
Do you remember how we have to do this?
No, I don't. 3 fights, right?
3 fights. And now you have been aiming for the top 3, but you can just do 3.
Okay, cool.
Including the headliner.
Great. So I got you one. Of course, BJ Penn, last win against Matt Hughes.
Yeah.
Great moment. You were crying in the stands.
I was very, very happy.
And I'll never forget Edson Barbosa.
Oh.
Kicking the legs off of, I believe, Michael Lulo.
That is correct. And who was the headliner?
Well, I said it already. Rampage and Lyoto.
Yep.
Rampage came out to the Pride song.
Yeah,
and you know how we found out about that? They invited us to go in the arena early because they were going to give Jose Aldo his featherweight title in the cage. Remember that video of him going to buy the suit?
Yep.
Whee! and they were rehearsing the walkouts. And this is before everyone, even non-Pride fighters, were using that song. It was a big deal. And we saw it. We're like, holy crap, Rampage is coming out to the Pride music. This is amazing.
Now, how did you make that association? What if it was some kind of announcement about Pride?
No, because it was like they play everything.
Played Rampage's package.
Yeah. They you know, across the arena. Man, Auburn Hills, that was a weird place to be. I remember driving past the Pontiac Silverdome and they told us that there were like abandoned wild dogs around there. And
it was a rough area.
And we were like off a highway somewhere. It wasn't a very enjoyable trip, I must say. November in like the Detroit area. And Detroit has come a long way in the last 7 years. They had the pre-fight press conference at the MGM in downtown Detroit. And we saw like people sleeping in their cars in the parking lot. It just...
And when that was just the MMA media.
Yeah, that was just MMA media.
UFC 146.
UFC 146 was a really fun event. It was the all heavyweight main card. So we had Bigfoot Silva versus Cain Velasquez. We had Junior Dos Santos versus Frank Mir. We had Shane Del Rosario was on the card. Mark Hunt was on the card. Stefan Struve was on the card.
Are we trying to cop out here? I mean,
Stipe Miocic was on the card.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Can we get some matchups on?
In fact, do I have? Wait a second.
No. You can't do that.
Oh, wait, no, this is 160. I have 160. People don't know that I have old programs here on my desk. I mean, there is a wealth.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So Shane Del Rosario fought Stefan Struve. Did he not? Shane Del Rosario fought Stipe Miocic.
Correct.
The late Shane Del Rosario. And Mark Hunt was on the card. No, he wasn't. Yes, he was.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't. What was the original main event?
What was the original main event? That's a question for you.
Well, I'm asking. I know the answer is Junior Dos Santos versus Alistair Overeem. That was the title fight. And then Overeem failed the test.
Yeah, Mark Hunt was supposed to face
Stefan Struve got injured.
Struve, and
yes,
then
I remember
LeVar Johnson.
That's right. All heavyweight. That was fun. That's what I thought they should do in Dallas.
Damn, we tripped you up on.
You didn't trip me up.
Number 2 of the day.
What do you mean? I got it. Okay, keep going.
UFC 158.
Montreal, baby. Montreal. George St. Pierre versus Nick Diaz.
Yep.
Johnny Hendricks versus Carlos Condit.
Yep.
Tom Lawler
versus.
I remember Tom Lawler. I remember Rick Story. Nate Marquardt. Am I right about these?
Are you going to give me a matchup?
The 3 is just. I mean, the fact that I can remember this, you know.
So by episode 2 of this game,
No. What are you talking about?
we've already given up on.
Wait a second. I remember who I was
I
interviewing.
could do this all day.
Patrick Cote, Tom Lawler.
You're naming a ton of fighters.
But all of whom competed on the card, correct? And by the way, I've never said that I can name multiple.
Tom Lawler didn't fight on this card.
It was 154 when he came out with the bathrobe. Okay, Nate Marquardt. Wait. I got it.
Hit me.
Jake Ellenberger, Nate Marquardt.
Yep.
Boom. Staying alive.
You pulled it out after struggling
where's my
a little
music?
bit.
Where's my music?
No music. All right, this one's going to be very easy, so let's do it quickly.
All right.
UFC 189.
UFC 189? Really?
I mean, last week we were getting like 200 and stuff. So
fair enough. Conor McGregor versus Chad Mendez.
Yep.
Roy Mack versus Robbie.
Yep. Uh-oh. I thought it was going to be easy.
$189, really? It's like the sooner they are, the more they get jumbled in my mind.
Man, didn't expect this.
It was
you were talking about choking earlier, Kyrie Irving.
It was a very top-heavy card, was it not? Was it not a very top-heavy card?
I'm loving it.
And also, there were 3 cards that freaking weekend.
That is true. Fair point on that.
I mean, there's just so much going on.
Now, if you gave me one of the fights from one of those other cards, I'd have more sympathy because then you got confused.
Yeah.
But right now, you're kind of
Jake Ellenberger versus Stephen Thompson.
Okay.
Main event on the Sunday night.
But you knew that's not 189.
No, but it's just all kind of going through my mind. Cyborg fought against some, sacrificial lamb. It's really just those 2 fights. I remember thinking like, wow.
Fun fact, those 2 fights were literally the only 2 fights that I saw. I was in Vegas and I saw those 2 fights.
Can you give me a hint?
I will give you a hint that there was a catchweight fight.
Come on. The hell?
There was a catchweight fight. Somebody missed weight.
What? That's every week.
No.
Somebody missed weight.
Fine. A teammate of Conor McGregor's fought on it. If this doesn't give it to you.
Not Patty Houlihan.
Nope. Go through them.
Not Aisling Daly.
Nope.
Not Artem.
Nope. You're running out of them.
Cathal Pendred?
No.
What the hell?
Well, actually, yes, but that's not who I was talking about. But yes, Cathal did fight on this card.
Oh, wait. I got it.
Yeah.
Alex Garcia versus Mike Swick.
Yes, that's not where I was going, but yes.
Yes.
Gunnar Nelson, Brandon Thatch.
Oh, that's right.
And Cathal fought John Howard. Jeremy Stevens and Dennis Bermudez. I believe Stevens missed weight.
I'm still alive because your hint didn't help me.
I'm
still alive.
Let's not call this alive.
I'm still alive.
Maybe you've got a little bit of a blip.
I'm on my
And now.
Okay.
Brings us to our last one.
Okay, here we go.
UFC 64.
Wait a second. This doesn't fall under I said 65 and up.
Wow.
I specifically said
so what you're saying is you're not up for the challenge. Okay.
No, I specifically said. By the way, I'll give you the main event for that.
Yeah.
Anderson Silva against Rich Franklin.
Correct.
But I specifically said last week 65 and up.
That's, you know what? Rules are rules.
Give me another one. Throw another one out there.
Shout out to Namdi who came up with this game. Fun. And even this week, he stumped you.
He didn't stump me.
Yeah.
He didn't stump me.
That doesn't fly.
I specifically said 65 and up. You guys are
No, not with this one, but with
I said Alex Garcia versus Mike Swick. His last fight.
Mike Swick's trouble with 146, just naming random heavyweights.
Give me one more.
UFC 175.
Chris Weidman versus Lyoto Machida.
Correct.
Alexis Davis versus Ronda Rousey.
Correct.
Matt Mitrione versus Stefan Struve. Now, I know that fight didn't happen, but it was on the card.
Oh my God.
It's on the card. You asked me for 151 last week.
Do you have one that actually happened on the card?
That was on the card. Was it not?
Can you try digging just for
I gave you
argument's
3.
sake?
Now you're changing the rules.
Recently retired.
Also, the fact that you're making me do this after a 4-hour show really, I think,
You have a
shows,
lot of excuses.
just shows
You know what?
how
I was
how
impressed
impressive I
last
am.
week, but
This week, no. 3 is crazy. Recently retired?
recently retired.
Everyone's recently retired. Hint?
Recently retired. I mean, go through.
Phone a friend. Yeah. I gave you my 3. I'm sticking to that. That fight was going to
No,
happen.
your mom is going to be so disappointed
They weighed in.
when she finds out that you forgot that Uriah Faber fought Alex Caceres on this card.
I gave you my 3.
Your mom she's going to be upset. Uriah Faber? Man.
I remember that fight. That was a prelim fight.
It was the headline event. Uriah kind of pioneered that a little bit.
Yeah. What a
But
moment.
well done. Well done.
Thank you. Can I get some applause as
yeah.
something? Jeez.
Cue the applause.
There we go. Okay.
A good effort.
Thank you.
Good job. Good effort.
Good effort. All right. Thank you. Some news and notes. We're back for the MMA beat this Thursday. So I know a lot of you have been upset that there's been no MMA beat. We're back. We were off. We're back. A lot to discuss. Can't wait for it. For now, let's say goodbye. Hit my music. We are done. What?
Why don't you, in this time, thank the great people?
Yes.
For honor.
You know what? Sometimes it's nice to be reminded of things. I want to thank the good people over at For Honor, brought to you by our good friends at Ubisoft, created by Ubisoft. Uh-oh, here's my mom. She said, yes, I'm upset. You see what you've done? You've now made my mom mad at me. Great. There's nothing worse. There's absolutely nothing worse. Anyhow, it's available right now for PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. There it is, in stores. Real fighting strategy instead of just run and gun or hack and slash. You need to balance defense and offense to truly master the fight and win the battle. New York Rick going home right now to play this. He's involved in a serious sort of career mode, and he's been updating me, and I've been enjoying it, and I really appreciate the good people at For Honor for supporting the show, as always. All right, what a fun show. So much covered, so many people. Wow, a who's who. I want to thank everyone who tuned in this week. I want to thank everyone who stopped by, beginning with Germaine Randamie. All the best to her. Hope she gets well soon. Thank you very much to Junior dos Santos. Best of luck to him at UFC 211. Thank you very much to Cris Cyborg. Congratulations. Mazel tov. Welcome back. Speaking of welcome back, Iaquinta. I'm not sure. Thank you very much, Max Holloway. Good luck to him. Thank you very much to Freddie Roach. Thank you very much to Matt Mitrione. Get well soon. And thank you very much to Firas Zahabi. Back next week, same time and place. Until I say,